Hi everyone, my name is Akram Sardar and I'm the curator at Squeaky Wheel, and thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm a white passing Turkish male with a beard and scruffy hair. Behind me is a bookshelf in a blue room. I'm wearing a t-shirt with an image of a tiger head, wearing a bow tie. Anybody who wants to take a guess at what anime that is, I'll Venmo you $5. Um, I'm going to be reading an acknowledgement of territory, providing some tips and directions for those of you watching, and then introduce Jenson. I would like to begin by stating that Squeaky Wheel is located in the homeland This land, also known as Buffalo, New York, is protected by the Treaty of Canandaigua of 1794, and as a settler institution that occupies this land uninvited, Squeaky Wheel commits to learn and implement ways to turn this acknowledgement into action. Part of this reading, this territorial acknowledgement for any of you attending, wherever you may be, is not only sort of building awareness of these sort of like very real treaties that are supposed to govern the land that we are on, but also to very much in a real way frame the way that we work, live, and play on colonized land, right? As an Ojibwe filmmaker once told me, it's a little like the red pill, blue pill in the Matrix. And, you know, there's simply no way that you can relate to the United States' environment, street names, relations, iconography, the same way. Listen to account and realizing you real low-cost equipment rentals, media education for youth and adults, exhibitions, screenings, public programs, and the work program of which this is a part. This is the penultimate event by our workspace residents, Emily Watlington, Eric Barry Drayson, Jenson, Leonard, and Johan Diedrich. The workspace residency is a short-term residency for artists and researchers working critically in media arts and technology. It's advertised for an open call and provides selected residents with stipends, artist fees, access to gear, and facilities of Squeaky Wheel and our partners. Due to the pandemic, this session of the residency was entirely remote, and I would like to very much thank Scribe Video Center and our advisory board member, Louis Messiah, for partnering with us for providing access to media facilities to Jenson in his town of Philadelphia. I also want to note that we will be accepting applications for the upcoming spring edition in early September. This edition will be open to local residents here in only due to the lack of funded artist opportunities in our city. And I'll be putting a link to that in the Google Doc as well. I also want to note that next Friday, on September 4th, one of our other residents, Johan Diedrich, will be performing Prelude to Wake. It is a roughly 20-minute, urgent, mournful, and world-building sonic performance that centers the loss of ourselves and environments due to climate change, and I highly encourage you to attend. Tonight, I'm very honored to be able to digitally host Jenson Leonard and this amazing group with Ashley Khirea Wahba, Nicolás Vargas, and Pastiche Lumumba for Race Jam, a panel on memes and online imagined blackness. If you are watching, you can leave questions and responses to the artists who may or may not get to them within the course of conversation with the Google Doc that you should see attached beneath the YouTube video or among the many other places where we provided the links. We will be moderating that document and approving or rejecting anything that people are writing. If you are a non-Black person who is watching, like this Turkish guy here, I do want to ask you to refrain from speaking to experiences that you cannot speak to. You know, everybody be cool, put your questions on page 5 if you have to, you know, Google things that you don't know, that type of thing. You know, the document is to prioritize the expressions of Black audiences who are watching, and we want to see what kind of space of trust we can establish in the, you know, the internet. A final couple notes: if you're having any technical trouble, do feel free to send us a text message at the number below. And as I said last Saturday, to anyone tuning in from afar, it's really nice to have you near. And if you feel like taking a screenshot of your screen, telling us how you may be enjoying this event, do tag us at Squeaky Buffalo on Twitter or Instagram. We love seeing you. This event is presented with support by the County of Erie and County Executive Mark Poloncarz, the National Endowment of the Arts, the New York State Council of the Arts, with the support of Andrew Cuomo and the New York State legislator, and the Andy Warhol Foundation for Visual Arts, and individual members, businesses, and sponsors. Now I would like to introduce Jenson Leonard. Jenson Leonard's practice involves the intersection of poetry, conceptual art, and internet memes. Not unlike the earliest forms of oral poetry, memes transmit our cultural memory. He scours the web for these preserves, the copies and reproductions of our collective digital id, dragging and dropping, sculpting his findings into the Adobe suite to create a bricolage of text and image that call into question notions of identity and empire. He charts an internet psychogeography that questions the sensorial exhaustiveness of audiovisual capitalism, an art that, in the framework of predictive algorithms and data extractions, attempts intervention within the infrastructure of social media. Please welcome Jenson, Ashley, Pastiche, and Nicolás.
Woo. So yeah, thanks everyone tuning in, and thank you to all the artists for accepting my invitation to be a part of this. I just wrote a tiny intro that I'm gonna read now, and then we can get into the meat and potatoes, or if you're vegan, whatever. We got the vegan option too. Doesn't have to be meat and potatoes. Race Jam, a panel on memes and online imagined blackness, is not just the Skillshare portion of my residency at Squeaky Wheel, but a moment to allow Pastiche Lumumba, Thought Catalog, and Black Power Bottom Text, some of the most prominent and influential cultural workers online, critical pause to step away from the infinite scroll of social media and the tireless production of online content to reflect on the work that has been done and is always in progress as the American empire rapidly crumbles. Swelling forth out of the paradigms presented in Manuel Arturo Abreo's comprehensive essay, Online Imagined Black English, the title of the panel is a nostalgia-baiting play on the movie Space Jam, sure, but it's just as much an invocation of the internet provocateuring of the artist at hand, cultural jamming and the combining of disparate elements constitutive of their work, as well as the eminent blackness of its creators. Post-internet vanguards pushing visual culture beyond the boundaries of Web 2.0 platform capitalism, where blackness, black culture, black vernacular, and black affect are extracted, surveilled, and commodified down to the nearest nay-nay. This is Race Jam. So, yeah, I put together a Google slide that just has 5 memes each from all of you, and it'd be cool to just hear you talk about the work. I also have questions that I want to ask, but really it's like, how do you everything's in real time. So I'm gonna go to presentation mode. We're gonna start with Ashley, Thought Catalog, those memes, and maybe you can just, drop some knowledge.
I can't wait to see what you chose for me. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
It's like really not. Okay, we'll figure it out. We'll see. I trust you.
I don't trust Jenson, just for the record.
I don't trust myself, so we're on even footing. Oops, my bad.
I did not make this, but I'm really down to discuss it.
Okay, here we go. But I want to start with this. Boom, title screen, and then we're gonna go on to Thought Catalog.
All right, your like screen sharing thing kind of cuts out the last word. I don't know if there's something you can do about that, but oh, it says hide. You can click hide.
You know, I'm a hide it. Yep.
All right. So yeah, I made this when I had COVID in March before like shit shut down. And like, I don't know, like everyone's so concerned about like people's lives, saving that shit, and like we have priorities here, you know. Like I I need to get to Sephora. I need to get my fucking fancy lip gloss. Like, I can't deal with this shit. Like, y'all, if you need to go to the hospital, go to the hospital. It's not my problem, basically.
My bad.
Yeah. So that's how I feel. All the poor Black and brown people can die for my priorities.
Damn. Okay.
Pause.
Critical pause.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. See, here's the situation. Like, thought catalog is like one, like one energy that only is a small part of me. So,
What is that energy?
what is that energy? It's like, it's like I have no feelings. I'm a sociopath. I am narcissistic, but rightfully so. I am. See, those are the parts that's like what I wish I could embody, but I don't know. As time, I didn't think that this part was going to come up so quickly, but like as time goes on, I've kind of like that energy that I put out. Some of the shit that I put out, and this has nothing to do with the slide, so I don't even know why I'm talking about it now. But
well, you know what, this meme. Sorry to interrupt, but it's a little prescient, and that, you know, like early COVID, you didn't have the you know, the protest, the looting, and the rioting, and now you have it. And so, kind of looking at this meme, it's like, you know, some people they were like, fuck that, I want to shoplift way faster than
That's
this meme
facts.
wants me to.
yeah, looting's back too. As of like 2 days ago, we got that back. So here we are.
Yeah, but
Just take out
also
the
like,
middleman.
who's always the like what's the store like employee that like guards the door called? Like
Security?
Loss prevention.
loss prevention. It's not called security, it's called loss prevention. Like those people are always Black. So like now we get to loot, but without having to like negotiate with another Black person on whether or not they want to lose their job for like stopping you from shoplifting. Now we just get to go straight to the whitey.
Yeah. Working retail and not giving a fuck about people shoplifting was the most fun, and not being held accountable for having to give a fuck about people shoplifting, because like that's not my job. Like, get the fuck out of my face. Also, yes, shoplifting as well, because like I don't get paid enough to confront little kids for stealing useless, expensive shit from fucking Urban Outfitters. Like, and none of it's really that serious when we actually like think about what's materially the material exchange going on, and knowing like whose pockets that money comes out of. It's like so negligible.
Steal that Billie Eyelash record.
Yeah. That's compact disc.
Also for them, and it really is no loss. It's no loss, and I don't know. Some of it is fucking survival. Like it's not any threat to anyone.
Next slide.
Yeah. Okay, now I can talk about that energy because y'all had a lot better things. I got like a little worked up, being like facetious or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, that is kind of like the duality within me, the like outward knowing that I'm that bitch, knowing that I'm a baddie, but still at the same time having that like deep-seated insecurity and loneliness and like all these very human issues at the same time. And like going through that growth, I think, and like trying to navigate that, becoming more secure with myself and trying to do that. But I think like all of that is particularly political also, for any melanated woman, like the messages that you get growing up are always like, you're less than, you know, the whole, like, we all got to work twice as hard, all that shit. And like, yeah, a lot of my content is like, honestly, it's about overcoming some of that messaging that I got. It's about overcoming some of these like internalized inferiority complexes and shit. And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there was a really good comment, and under this meme, it was like, if you were humble, why would you brag about being humble? And then someone replied, that's the joke.
Yeah, I love commenters. I love followers. That's why I started posting on my close friends story so much. I think some of y'all saw this. I don't even know if it's worth like worth screen sharing, but I'll just read it to you. It says it's like my favorite thing ever, actually, but I don't know where to go. Did it already expire? But it was something like it was like, why do girls always pee after sex? If you're pregnant, you're pregnant. Peeing is not going to stop that, which is like the funniest shit to me. Like, I don't want to put that shit out there because I'm so sick of arguing with people and telling people what's funny and why it's funny and like all this shit. So it's like, I don't know. And that's just like, that's like the easiest example, the one that you raised about like shit going above someone's head and like irony going above someone's head. And it's exhausting. No.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Do y'all ever feel like you kind of like hold back on the irony a little bit because you don't feel like dealing with commenters and shit and followers?
No, I've resigned myself to just being as esoteric as possible.
Yeah, I feel like the three of y'all are very like no fucks given. Like,
I mean, I particularly recently have found I can for being ironic too hard from like organizing spaces and like older people who don't really get it and don't really get who I'm speaking to are like, well, why did you have to say that in that way? Why can't you say it in like a more straightforward way? And I'm like, that's right, that's true. But also then I would just be like any regular niggas like saying a truth. Like I want to say it in a way that's creative, but still it's like, well, creativity in a way that's like you have to get it is elitist and alienating. So it's kind of like it's too many steps. Like when I made a meme, it was like, why won't the Twin Towers stand for the Pledge of Allegiance around like when Colin Kaepernick was kneeling? Like people like that I respect, like organizers, were like, we have family members who, you know, or people who have family members who died in the 9/11. I'm like, that sucks. Like black people, and I'm like, fuck. But it's like a good fucking joke. But like, yeah, I don't know. So I kind of stopped memeing altogether because of that.
I was gonna say, actually, with you, there was something that you posted recently that was so fucking good, but I was taken aback because you haven't been posting shit like this, and so it was just like so like nice and pleasing. I'll present it real quick.
Is there a way to present and like show the screen and then also show the four of us at the same time? Is there a way to do
that's
that?
what I see right now.
Yeah, if you go to what is it? I don't know. Presentation. Oh, it says presentation and then like you and then everyone or something.
It says you're presenting right now.
All right, but you only see my screen. You don't see us.
I do see us. I see our heads. Yeah, at the bottom of the screen.
The person running the YouTube also. How's that?
Yeah, this is lit.
It's so good. It's so good. it literally had me like, it had me dying. It's so good. And like the thing is, Nick has stopped posting shit like that a lot more recently. A lot of their posts have been like more informational and straightforward and like maybe a little like acerbic or like sarcastic or something, but not like this level. And I wonder like if our interactions with people, like the whole thing, the fact that like we are inherently in a space where people are interacting with us, like how does that affect
Yeah. I mean,
present?
it normally doesn't matter because most of the shit that I post is like not ironic. It's like half it's completely sincere, but like half autobiographical and then half like critical of society. So like half of the shit is about me. And so most of the time when somebody asks me like, why is this funny? Or like, I don't find this funny. I'm like, all right, cool. If you don't find it funny, that's fine. And if you're asking me why it's funny, then depending on what it is, you know, like I like explaining shit, you know, especially when people are offended by something. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me tell you why I thought this was a joke. One of my favorite joints is the Andrei Karlov meme. The memes of like Andrei Karlov getting assassinated, and people are like, why is this funny? And I was like, were y'all paying attention to the news with Syria right now, Russia, who we know, like, we always think, like, if this had happened 10 years ago, it would be funny. But the fact that it happened this morning is, like, not funny, or that, like, this white man in a suit got shot on camera, so it's not funny. And I'm like, all right, well, what part of it is the, like, morally repugnant thing? And so, like, people, you know, actually have to confront that, which, that is fun. And then, more recently, fucking Lana Del Rey. Lana Del Rey stands being in my comments, being like, well, her letter wasn't about this. And I'm like, I already had this conversation, like when that happened, on my own shit. And I don't feel like having to come up with a clever response, a cleverly dismissive response, because I don't want to engage in that conversation because I've had it already. And also, like, I guess those people can't know that I also I like Lana Del Rey a lot, but like the jokes aren't not gonna happen just because, you know, I like this artist. Like, I'm still gonna make jokes about it. And so at that point I was just exhausted and I just didn't respond to any of them. I thought about deleting them. That's the other thing, is like, all right, well, you know, I don't have to engage with everything that comes along my page, even if I feel some type of way, because I definitely feel like I want to argue with everyone. And in that particular moment, I was like, oh, I guess I shouldn't, because it's like not worth it for me.
You not to call you out too hard. Ooh, I hear a lot of feedback. Not to call you out too hard, but like, don't you post and delete a bit?
I do. Yeah, my Instagram, since it got since R21 Savage got like deleted by Instagram in November, so I had to like start it over, and I have this going back and forth like kind of archive war with my art presentations on my profile and then meme presentations on my profile. So like every week or a couple of days, I will like go in and like unarchive shit and then like re-archive shit based on what's going on, which is like, all right, so some meme shit's going on, let me put up like memes. And then sometimes it's vice versa, where I'm like, I want to like kind of be intentional about what is on my page at any given moment. And then I still have all of that archive chronological in my shit, but it's rarely all ever up, because I don't think it's all relevant. And especially if I can control it. Like I lost the I guess precondition of having my shit be chronological from the beginning when Instagram deleted my shit.
Mm-hmm. Right. The feedback is like atrocious for me. I don't know if that's on my end, but you said the right time. So like, what drives that time? How do you know when you want to focus more on like your visual art, like more traditional visual art, I guess you would say, versus like the memes?
The visual art is kind of like all the time. Like I always want to have more visual art, but I make art really slowly and I make memes really quickly. Mm-hmm. And
can I play Yakub's advocate real quick?
Bet.
And just what's the difference between the visual art and the memes that you throw up online? Like, why is there the strict, rigid, distinction there?
Well,
I hate
can
this
I
question
interject?
so much. This is everyone's favorite fucking
Yeah,
question.
let
It makes
me
me want
let me
Because
let me
I'm
say
doing an
quick.
art residency right now for memes.
Okay, but
You
if
know
you
what I'm
put it on
saying?
the internet, that shit can get like Pastiche was saying, like their whole shit was taken down. Like white boys in Silicon Valley get to dictate what is or isn't like history. Like they can delete a whole fucking history and create a reality. Like I feel like if we, go outside of a fucking state house, take down the flag, and put up a flag that has no stars on it. That's more art than like if I did that on a meme that could get taken down. My opinion.
But what if that flag gets taken down?
Well, then that's part of the art, though. Online, it's not seen. The whole process of taking it down, it's like hidden through all these algorithms and shit. You would never even see the meme. Shadow ban.
Shadow ban. Yeah, you can get shadow banned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like you can take a screen cap of memes that have been deleted.
There's this
And
one
they're
meme
not
that
destroyed entirely, but
there's this one meme that I can't post. It's the what if ISIS had a girl boss? It's a picture of ISIS and it says, "What if ISIS had a girl boss?" It gets taken down as soon as I put it up, and I've tried so many times. Like it's just basically as if like no one can see it.
then again, I've never had a meme get taken down. I've never not been able to post. I'm not radical.
Damn,
I
it's
have
too
a
esoteric.
situation like Nick's. I have a post like Nick's that like has gotten taken down, and I love it so much. It says, "Kill all men except all the ones I'm trying to smash," and it's, come on, guys! It's within like 5 seconds. It's within 5 seconds every time, and it's so good.
Damn. Matt, so like I guess the analogy here for art would be like I don't know, Klaus Biesenbach coming and like smashing your shit like whenever you make something in the studio. That distinction, like the physicality of it doesn't really matter as much. I mean, I guess it is, yeah, it's paramount actually. It matters the most in that when I'm making art, the shit starts as this kind of like physical object and exists kind of even in my mind traditionally in a physical space, either in somebody's house or in an art gallery. And memes, I guess going back to the abstract of this talk, kind of they don't function that way. You know, like art history is memes. It's made out of like these informational bits of things that are repeated over and over again, from like Christian iconography to like, now everybody putting Basquiat crowns on shit. So like art's been making memes before, like internet memes were a thing. And I think what we're talking about right now is like internet memes, which is a specific new and special thing, and so like you thinking about like a cross, you could go to a basilica and see like a big ass cross, or you could just like make one with, like 2 sticks. And now those 2 sticks that you made, like your cross, is we have the infrastructure for somebody across the world to see that and be connected on it, like via, these things. And then also the infrastructure for the means of production are so accessible. So like I get to have this so much more information to like filter feed my opinions through, because so many other people have already made some shit that I'm, at simultaneously responding to and then like synthesizing new information. So I think like that's the thing that separates them, is that when I'm making art, I'm like thinking of an idea that ideally can exist on its own. Specifically when I make objects, I want that object to be something that is immediately visually accessible. You recognize the elements in it, and then you have to think about the relationship between those elements. When I'm making memes, especially after my Instagram got deleted, I don't give a fuck about, I still give a fuck about the metrics and like the analytics of it, but like the stakes are lower, you know. So I can post a meme and it like go completely like the crowds are just not intersecting at all, but it's still because I'm repeating this thing, and like it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be this brand new thing. It doesn't have to be accessible, you know. Like I'm making it because I know somebody's going to connect to it, or if they do, then like that's great, but it's not for mass accessible consumption. You know, a lot of the things that I make on memes are very specific, very niche, and very much talking to like a community of people, whether that's like song lyrics or like a porn star that if you watch porn when I was a teenager, you would probably know this person. But if you didn't, then, you know, like if you want, you know, really, it just comes down to like what the intersection of like access points are, where art is completely arbitrary. Like it doesn't really matter, but I choose to make it accessible.
Can I make an intervention?
Intervene.
So like for me, it's like I don't want memes necessarily to be art, because I see art as it's a category that I don't think memes necessarily need to be in, for whatever reason folks want it to be art. But
it's like what catering to whiteness. These like white institutions that like give it some sort of like, I don't even know what the word I want to say. It's a really simple word.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, exactly. It validates it. So like we need to call it this thing in order to let it fit into this box so people respect it.
Yeah.
Like these things that, you know, are so accessible to make. You don't need a fucking arts degree. You don't need an editor. You don't even need to have graduated high. You could be in fucking middle school making memes, and it doesn't matter like what your like socioeconomic like background is. Like, but so if we call them art, then I think there's like kind of these inherent boundaries that we automatically impose on it, and like to kind of elevate it.
I think one of the boundaries, and because this is like a part of this idea, this intervention, I was thinking, it's like Tony Cade Bombara was like this revolutionary writer, and they said like the job of the writer or the artist is to make revolution irresistible. Like that's the boundary he set, is like either you're for the reactionary revolution or you're for the, you know, non-reactionary, real revolutionary revolution, where you're like trying to change the society in so like, you know, people can be more equitable and have a better say. I see memes as like anti-art and anti-artist because they subvert art. They make art kind of pointless. They make it so like, and if we talk about in the Trump era, what memes did was like it made every single artist into like this inept, like really kind of like outdated, silly, like knee-jerk person. Like what remember everyone was like, oh, like art in the age of Trump is going to be so great because we have such an easy ideologue to target. The art was fucking shit. Everything was horrible except the memes. So in the sense, memes are not art because they don't make revolution irresistible. They make revolution kind of a joke. They make it seem like it's not something that can be materially done. It has to only function as like irony, or as like, you know, there's no obviously there's nothing material that memes can do. So like I
disagree, Nick. I think
I'm not entirely sure about that, because you've seen meme culture like change, you know, for what it's worth, like mainstream political discourse. Like that's just
exactly.
That's just
and it's like memes, particularly like for me, honestly, they've opened me up to revolutionary ideas, including like Nick's own damn page. And Nick knows very well that in like networks that we've had and like communities that we've created, people have been brought in because like with like not too much of a knowledge or a background or an education in revolutionary politic and theory, and have come in because of me, because of our accounts, or like because of content that they've seen us put out, and they've like completely blossomed. It has very real consequences, and it has a very big ability to actually like change people, to open them up to new ideas,
Yeah.
and to
Yeah, I
like
mean,
impact
But
the
I'm
way that
talking
they
about-
really relate to the world.
So okay, I agree with that, but that doesn't. And I'm talking about specifically in the parameters of art. Does that make memes art if they give people a new understanding or a vector or a window vista into like a new political terrain? Does that mean it's art?
So that means
I'm saying memes are.
you're
are
saying that if it does do that, that makes it art.
I'm saying
That,
what
like,
I'm Tony K. Bombara's definition saying it makes revolution irresistible. To me,
Oh.
memes make revolution fucking seem confusing and convoluted.
No, I would disagree. I would say the exact opposite. I would say like memes definitely make revolution irresistible when, because you know, some of my best memes and some of the best memes that I've seen are like very humor, like wittily codified arguments. You know, like it's like if you didn't think like I'm blanking on a specific meme that would say something that I'm like, oh wow, I've never heard that said like that, and it totally makes sense, and like it's funny enough for me to remember, and like this is now my memory for this like particular
simplified
circumstance.
and democratic.
yeah.
But revolution is more than just having a quip that can just say this is what revolution is. Revolution, it takes community. Revolution takes organizing. Revolution takes labor. Revolution takes sadness and love and forgiveness and transformation. It's not just about having that digestible understanding of what a revolution means or what a revolutionary is. It's revolution as it means to take part
But
in revolution
if like
irresistible.
revolutionary theory and discourse is gonna like make people put up a wall, again, like me and Nick have had this conversation before, but for me, like palatability is really important. Being able to bring people in a way that is accessible to them and that welcomes them instead of like totally shuts them down, because I know that's how I was. I'm like, this doesn't apply to me because like I don't have big galactic brain for this shit.
Also
Mhm.
creating
You
like
know?
a revolutionary like purity test as well.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
think,
A
but
lot of people. Sorry.
I think
I want to hear
a
Jenson,
lot
yeah.
now and increasingly about just like platform capitalism, and I think revolution or radical ideas can sometimes become stifled by the platform itself, and there's sometimes this slippery slope between creating more concise and newer revolutionary ideas, and also just in this neoliberal produced content way, making the next shit. So it just becomes more about the next shit for you to consume on your feed than taking this politic and manifesting it beyond the screen. And it's like just a quick moral hit that you can get. Well, I follow Black Power bottom text, so I've done my Marxist Leninism for the week. I'm fucking,
I think there's
So
also
that's
something to be said about like simplicity, and that there are certain like obviously how to like entirely construct your life to like decolonize yourself and like deprogram yourself from like being capitalist. Some things are simple, like some things like drink some water. You know, like drinking water is a very simple meme that has been like reproduced, and it's like a generally positive thing to do that people forget about as a systemic thing. That's like, oh, this is funny. I just scrolled past a friend who posted this status,
thank you,
and now I'm
Pastiche.
actually drinking water. And then there's one that I saw, it was a TikTok of this girl being like, yo man, reading theory is boring. What page does communism get her cat ate? And I'm like, yeah, one, reading is boring. Reading theory is even more boring than reading that. But then there's also the aspect of having the co-identification with the fact that like, oh, we are all aware of this being like something that people read, but then there's also the fact that I feel either alienated or slow, whatever, and that there are people that will also relate to that, and that we can create community around like jumping in at the level that we're comfortable at.
I think Jenson brought up the purity test also, and like the like ideological
I'm getting some echo. I'm getting some echo on somebody's mic here.
Yeah, I think next. The like moral purity test, and that's also like a big theme for me, and the memes that I make, because I don't like being a person it's complex. Like no matter how anti-capitalist or radical you are, like part of the thing about capitalism is that you're indoctrinated from the moment you're born. And so like as much as I fucking hate it, I still like want fucking Gucci flip-flops, you know? Like it's so stupid, and I know it's stupid, and like that's my relationship to those things is like it's so complex. It's like so fucking complex, and I struggle with it on a day-to-day basis. And I think to come in to any given, and like these are thoughts that I've been working through for years, you know? This is stuff that like I've tried to
Are
the
you
best
ready
of my
to
ability.
divest from grail.com? That's the question.
I already bought something from Grail. I'm not going to talk about that. You know what I wait, this is another thing aside from like the Meg Thee Stallion street code thing. This is like a proper opportunity to bring it up, and I think we all have a lot of conversations. And this is not a flex. This is like actually a conversation that I want to have that's like very appropriate right now. Like,
oh shit. Wow.
I think like I don't think there's one of us that has not like made or posted content about that. So no, but it's like I think this shit is so stupid, but like it's so deeply ingrained in me because of the way that I was socialized, and that it becomes difficult to disconnect myself from. It's like infuriating, and it's laughable, and I have this guilt about it, but at the same time I'm like, so what, I can't like do things that make me happy. It's like the way that people are always like, don't tell Black people how to spend their money type situation. Because like, so I'm gonna starve myself of Telfar, or like, are you kidding me? Wow. And like make myself miserable in this world that's like fucked up and hard to navigate, you know?
Is
This comes about-
Virgil Abloh the Andy Warhol of our generation?
1,000% from like start to finish.
If he were trolling, yes.
That's what I'm saying. I think
exactly.
Like if he were trolling, yes.
Isn't he though? Ain't he though?
Wait, if
I
he was
don't know.
trolling.
I don't know.
If
No, if Virgil was trolling.
I can't in good.
Virgil is trolling.
I can't in good faith.
Virgil is trolling.
Virgil is trolling. 100%.
He is.
There's a good.
Like, I feel like there's like at some point it started like not being trolling as much anymore. You know,
get the bag.
Yeah, because the art is a commodity, like you said.
Exactly.
The art is a commodity. Memes you can't. So going back to Telfar, like memes, you can't resell memes.
Yeah, there's no speculative market for memes. Like
yeah.
I don't know. I get a lot of
objects.
DMs being like, "How much for you to make a meme for me?" And then we say like $69,000.
That's your service.
Yeah,
that's like your.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not a commodity.
if people are like,
people buying your meme like off your page.
Yeah.
Or like Instagram deleting your kill men post and then like fuck Jerry posting that post the same post.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean that does happen though, because we get
dildo,
you know, melanated women, like thick melanated women, like posting like in a bikini, and it gets zucked, and then you get like the Kardashians or Jenners or whatever posting full titty and ass, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And they're monetizing it obviously a lot more. And like my friends posting OnlyFans getting their shit zucked. Like not even posting content like that, posting links and getting zucked because of that. Like That's not memes though. That's just
Yeah.
like an issue with the platform itself.
It's a scary thing to think
Well, that's
about.
also class and celebrity too.
Mhm.
You know.
Good thing there's no class or celebrity in meme.
No, not at all. It's
Which is, I mean, oh, you're going to the next slide?
No, I was gonna ask some questions. Like I wrote questions down, and I was gonna ask you all of them. Yeah, one thing I was thinking about. I don't know if this applies to everyone else here, but like maybe a month and a half ago, when we had racism, we don't have racism anymore. But like a month and a half ago, when we had it, I got in a week. My page got boosted like crazy. I got over 2,000 followers in a week, and like I am not encouraged by that. I'm deeply disturbed by the fact that like
1,000%.
the increased visibility of my meme page and my content is intimately tied to Black death, and it took like a succession of Black people dying for white meme pages to be like, well, maybe this might be a good idea. Let's quarry in the abyss, you know? and it fucks with me because now it makes me not really want to participate in this thing because now it's tainted. My page growth is now associated with, you know, that fuck shit.
I don't even know what to say about
So
that.
I'm done making memes.
Yeah, I feel like this moment, like you know, I thought you were gonna say all of the white friends that like hit you up like when the protest started and shit were like, oh my god, Jenson, like what's good? We haven't spoken in a while, you know, like that type of shit. Which I mean, that's been the thing that's kind of like I want us to not forget about those moments. And I'm glad that you brought up something like that from like a month ago because it happens all these times. And like when people are doing it, because we have those urges, you know, like when it's happening, it kind of, you think about it in context of this moment. And very rarely do we get the chance to talk about shit like that after the fact, you know, like, all right, a month has passed. Like what was going on that was going on then that is not going on now. Like niggas is still getting shot, you know, like
back then the difference is white content creators were in more of a moral panic about how they could prove that they are not implicated in the violence that like they benefit from. And so in that moment,
Mark Wahlberg just made a statement on why racism is bad.
Finally.
That's what I'm saying.
Finally.
He beat an Asian store owner to nearly to death when he was a teenager.
Yeah, 2 Vietnamese
Marky
men.
Mark.
Yeah, he fucked them up.
Shout out to the nigga who literally colonized the rap game the first and then almost killed someone in the name of racial superiority.
Yeah, I don't like him.
It's so opportunistic, like all that shit, and it feels
that's the thing I'm saying is like
to me. It feels so disgusting. Like it because they do it ostensibly to benefit us, right? Like that's how they present it, but like ultimately, like they're the ones that are benefiting. If they wanted to benefit us, they would have started doing that a long time ago. I've been asked to speak on panels or like be interviewed by magazines and shit like that, and I've like turned that shit down because I've been speaking publicly for a long ass time. I've been putting myself out there. I've been available. I've been speaking openly about race for a long ass time. And like suddenly now you decide that you want to do it. This is not for my benefit. This is not for my people's benefit. This is for you. This is so that you can make yourselves look good and like save your ass, save your institution's ass. And, you know, and there is like, I mean, I have personally seen like material benefit for myself, and like of course that's kind of nice because it allows me to survive, but it's just like like I had an influx. Yeah, I do sell commodities. I sell commodities, and I had an influx of orders, and it was like it was more than I could handle. Like it was way more than I could handle, and like there were delays because of that, and like it totally took me by surprise. And I'm like, okay, this is ill, but this is not gonna last. This is like one time thing. What, another Black person dies, and then like I don't think people are gonna be spending the same money.
But it's also ew. Like
Huh?
ew. Like ew, gross.
Me?
No, like
Whoa.
never mind. I'm trying to make a joke. It's not landing.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah,
ill, but then like ILL,
Oh.
and then like ew, like EWW. Like,
Yeah, no, exactly. But I have also like I've heard, you know, people like getting their rent paid, getting like guarantors for their apartments, like all this shit, getting their shit paid for, and like medical bills paid for, and like obviously that's big, but that's not sustainable. And like where that money comes from, why that money comes from where it comes from is like deeply disturbing.
yeah, those are just like interventions in like a system that like will reproduce that same precarity.
Yeah, it's not a solution, it's not a fix, like it's temporary relief, I guess, but again, like
I was
there's like,
also gonna ask a question about just appropriation, and I'm just gonna read the thing I wrote, and you know, we can all lump onto that. So I think a key component that gets overlooked in the appropriation conversation is like that the internet collapses context. You just sort of encounter things. And so AAVE is taken up ephemerally, detached from its origins. I've heard people say, and I'm not going to quote who said this, but I've heard people say, oh, I thought Black culture was just internet culture. And
Twitter speak. Have you heard that one?
Yeah, and you know, I don't have the mental bandwidth or the fucks to really care about like what a white person does with their hair. But I'll say like when Black kids are put in special education classes for how they speak, and this same vernacular is what white kids use to make themselves look cool on the internet, that's disturbed. So I guess like how I would distill this imbalance is in this phrase: talk Black for the internet clout, talk white for the job interview. So I just
But don't we do that? Not, I mean, obviously not for the internet clout. We do it to generate internet clout for everyone else. But I talk white for the job interview too.
Yeah, me as well. I'm just saying like the fundamental like double standard. Like you talk Black as like a sort of parlance and aesthetic for the internet. You talk white if you want like to get a job.
It's like a reverse code switch.
There was this meme that was like these NBA players talk about Black Lives Matter too much, and then when they fully boycotted, they're like, "Oh no, niggers don't do that. Like, where are we gonna get our entertainment from?" It's like obviously like they don't give a shit as much if you talk about Black Lives Matter as long as you continue to produce entertainment for a white nationalist corporation like the NBA. But as soon as you like take up collective arms and stop giving them your labor, they're like, oh well, it actually has nothing to do with the aesthetics of it. It's just the fact that the bare minimum is you're working, producing entertainment for us. You know, like I don't think if we got to a point where like we accept Ebonics AAVE in the workplace, it really doesn't matter. It's as long as we know that you can be productive, that you can be a good worker. For me, I don't give a shit how you talk. That's just, I feel like at this point, like the same with tattoos, you know, like it's just kind of gone out the window. It's like I'm kind of rambling. Someone get me back on track.
Appropriation, because like tattoos also have like cultural roots.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying.
It's like, you know, I mean, thinking going back to like memes and like the online imagined Black English and like people kind of taking these either sayings that like I grew up with personally, you know, and it becoming this other thing.
I've lived long enough to see simp. become co-opted by the fucking alt-right. Like I remember Simp in like early 2000s. Like
there's a profound like sadness, and then also that I and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, relate to being an old head in a sort of way, where it's like, oh, this word doesn't mean what it used to mean when I was a kid. And I, you know, part of me I want to resist the urge at all costs to becoming an old head, that like things were cooler when I was 20, you know, but like seeing language, just words not mean what they mean anymore. Like when I was growing up, the term woke was not something that white people knew about, that non-black people said and had a specific context, which I still think of, and I don't refer to anything that's not black niggas being actually woke as woke, had a specific context and direct opposition to like white supremacy specifically, and like pro-blackness specifically, was not this like larger framework of just like being synonymous with culturally aware, or like, you know, PC, whatever the fuck that
just
shit.
anything that irritates like white people now is just woke. Like
Yeah, and so
stop
like
making Star Wars woke.
yeah. And so like there's that, like I definitely feel it's like a sadness, because the concept that this, you know, the concept that the original concept on which this word was, you know, attached to, now kind of has to float in the ether. That it's like oh, are we talking about the same word now, or are you talking about this
It's
generalized?
been completely recuperated and co-opted. It becomes like a talking point amongst like the most conservative motherfuckers of like what woke is. Even cancel culture, I think. Like there is a sort of perverse, like, you know, cancel culture started out as like a way of holding accountability amongst marginalized people. Like the police ain't gonna do shit, so we gotta like do what we can to hold this person to account. And now it's like the RNC is like talking about cancel culture and how toxic it is. But to me, like, you want to talk about toxic cancel culture, it's like when it becomes a rhetorical talking point at the fucking RNC.
Yeah,
I mean, it
I
is
think
kind of toxic regardless of what context it's in, because it is carceral logic.
That's
Front
true
and
as well.
center.
I mean, I've seen these threads on Twitter with a lot of right wing people. They're equating cancel culture with what under Mao's the great Chinese Cultural Revolution called struggle sessions, where they would, you know, host a community where they would talk about like whatever problematic or reactionary shit would go on, whether it be misogyny, whether it be a wanting to own land and to have tenants and serfs or whatever. And so they would like struggle with it, and the person who was reactionary would have to like wear a dunce cap or just be like called a little bitch the entire time. And they're like equating that. I've seen like literally there's a picture of a landlord wearing a cap that says landlord, and everyone's like pointing at them and be like, ha, stupid little bitch. But like people are like, this is what fucking I don't know,
Well,
right
that
wing
sounds.
pundit who says some racist shit is being done to them. But it's like, okay, if so, good, right? It's like that's not.
I mean, that
It,
sounds more diplomatic than any of the manifestations of cancel culture.
of course, and I think cancel culture in the same way of like, what's it called, community accountability for police or whatever. It's like those community boards that like lord over the police and are supposed to answer for the community whether or not the police are held accountable for the crimes they committed. It's the same thing. They're like, obviously that's not what's happening. If right wingers think that like only a select few of left wing radicals are just going to be the judge and jury and the executioner for me, then yeah, I would think like, yeah, that's what the left is doing for anyone who's like has a problematic tweet. They're gonna assassinate me at any chance they get. But that's like, I think everyone gets it wrong. I think there needs to be a kind of unified culture around what is good, what's bad, what's materially necessary for any of us. But I don't think that's there right
Well,
now.
There's also
Transformative justice,
no
restorative justice.
sort of path to rehabilitation. I feel like all the type of canceling I see is just we need complete social death. You know?
What do you mean by social death?
Well, in this context, I mean, you can't be on the internet. If you're canceled, you're not allowed to be on the internet. Your digital citizenship is revoked. And if you die, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I've already symbolically killed you on the social media platform that you're active on.
I honestly think if we canceled some random person for so there's this kid who like ran for Congress or Senate. He's like 19 years old. He like revenge porn someone. He it turns out he like did like a revenge porn. He like harassed this person, which is obviously awful and clearly not okay and deserves disdain and needs justice from within the community. But he won like a Senate seat or like a congressional district or something. And it was found out afterwards. I think I might be completely wrong. But yeah, so like what is to be done after that is how do we cancel him digitally if he has gained traction in a material way within like the bourgeois electoral system? Like us canceling him does nothing for the people who voted for him.
I'm a fan of physical violence, but that's just me.
Boom, bow, facts.
Yeah, that gets shit done.
But also, like, you want to, you would murder a 19-year-old for revenge porn. I would murder that 17-year-old kid who murdered those two people in Wisconsin.
Kenosha.
Yeah, I would. He deserves. Boom, wall, dead, back of the head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But revenge porn when you're 13, horrible. You deserve to get beaten until the edge of your life. You would never be a senator or a congressman or a state representative. Never.
Also, this also all depends on what the person who is aggressed upon wants.
Exactly. Well, exactly that's what I'm saying. Like the person who's dead, who cannot have any say.
Also, is this person white?
Yes, of course they're white.
Well, there you go. What a
Mao gang. Mao gang.
They are who we thought they were.
I thought they were black.
Whole time I thought this person was 1/8 black. Octoroon.
Dropping a bucket.
Octo-kun. Yeah, the new James Bond villain. 2021 coming for that ass.
Miles Morales, Spider-Man villain. Dr. Octopus.
Wait, can I sing this song? Can I sing this song?
Go for it.
It goes, ooh, ooh, I am gonna kill Joe Biden. I'ma kill him with my gun. I just bought it from Walmart yesterday, and I found his house in Delaware. I have his address if y'all want it.
Yeah. Please post that.
Yeah, fuck Joe
In the
Biden.
chat. I'll post it.
You know what I just thought? Like, what if Miles Morales had like a Hotep uncle? Like,
I mean,
he was.
He
was.
He does. He
He
does.
had a really good hand
No,
style.
he
You
does.
can't have a good hand style and not praise Elijah Muhammad.
Preach.
Exactly.
so, like, this is the
What's the
All right.
daily map?
bringing it back, like, to these, like, conversations about, like, not authenticity, but, like, intra-communal media and, like,
My bad. That's my police sirens.
okay.
Damn, you
I'm
live
like,
in the,
who's
you live in the
sirens?
hood, bro.
Right.
You
The
live in
police
the
are like,
hood.
don't be talking about this shit.
They heard that Joe Biden.
The idea of surveillance and then like people coming in, non-black people talking, like that don't understand what the fuck is going on, and instead of just being like, here's a cultural thing that I could like learn about or just, you know, like experience as an outsider, always like have to, you know, like put their shit inside, and that like deters me from wanting to one like, or not deters, encourages me to keep those spaces private or like affinity groups, you know, whatever. And then it, you know, it makes those conversations in public, like when we're having this, we have to like have this conversation, and then I have to think about like who's watching this conversation and whether or not I want to give them, you know, the tea or whatever. And then we don't get to have, you know, the conversation about Miles Morales' Hotep uncle on the big screen, because it's like even getting to get that, you know, you have to do all of this like explaining and like going through all of this shit that it has to be legible to white people in order for you to get it into.
But maybe it's just encoded, and if you get it, you get it. If it's for niggas, it's for niggas. If
I mean,
you
like,
get it, if you know, you
Just
know.
like your memes,
Still,
Pastiche, like you were
being-
just describing.
For
Like if you
niggas.
get it, you get it. It's hard though, because again,
If it's for
like
niggers, it's for niggers.
I think it's like
That's
in
what I'm
the
saying.
it's like embedded in our brain to want to like bring products, like appeal to this institution in order to give ourselves validation.
Yeah, but
you
I just
know,
mean,
in
like,
order to make it real.
so I don't get to have the very on the nose, like Boondocks type moment during a Black Spider-Man movie. That's what I mean. Like the like cultural idiosyncrasies that I would want to see embedded into those things don't get to be above board as they would if I was watching, say, like, I've never seen Monty Python, but I'm guessing it's full of that kind of shit. Where like the
Monty
cultural
Python.
references that people are like supposed to be like conventional, for us it's like this blip, and I want those things. I want, yeah, like, so this is why I make memes, you know. I want to be able to post a, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the most obscure lyric meme that I've posted, but like want to be able to post an obscure lyric meme that like I remember from whenever, you know, of my upbringing, and then like connect to those people and be able to yeah, do that without people all up in my shit, and then people like non-Black people feeling like they need to understand. Like I don't know if that happens with too many other cultures where the surveillance is as, it feels like people are like, oh, this, yeah, like this is internet language, so I need to know what this is.
I need to be
Rather
done. I need to be
than-
up on it.
This is a group of people that is specifically a bunch of Black lesbians. I don't hang out with them in real life. I see them using this word. I don't know what it means. I don't need to use the word. It's none of my business. Like, there's no, the urge for like people to be like, oh, what is this Urban Dictionary shit? Like, and it's like, also fucker, like that's the existence of Urban Dictionary, the urban dictionarying of like Black people slang, and then like it getting on the internet and people kind of getting this like secondhand, like, I learned child from, like, if you go the Urban Dictionary entry for child is like popularized by Nicki Minaj, and it's like,
It's not just a desire to decode or understand, but to consume.
yeah,
Like, there's like a really gross, consumptive, parasitic, like white parasitic logic to all that shit.
which is why I feel good about posting like Hotep memes or like shit that.
Please post more Hotep memes.
Jenson, did you have more slides? Do you have the Gucci slides?
I had a bunch of slides, but we were just like, you know, we were just talking, so I put them aside.
I'm curious about more of the memes that you picked out for everyone, because I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know if this is in the email and I just missed it, but this is a complete like novelty to me. I'm curious. I'm always curious about like what shit connects with other people, and then other people who are like doing the same shit, like meme shit. Like, Why
Well,
the IMVs?
I had a few more of Ashley's memes.
I almost reposted this today. It really speaks to me right now. I know the next one's a good one, so go to the next one.
Where do you source these characters? Where are these?
All right, I am so
Because they're not
so
brats.
glad you're asking me. They're like no one knows.
The IMVs, right?
They're yeah, it's like IMV or IMVU or something.
Is
And
that
I'm gonna say publicly, my deepest, darkest secret is I've never actually used it. Okay, so this is only the second time that anyone's ever asked me this, and the first time was last week, like why I use these. Okay, so basically, like when I started making content, I was using, you know, the usual like format, and then it's like someone's face, and it's usually like a real person's face, and a lot of times it's like exploitative, and it's all often like Black people's faces that are exploited for the sake of memes that are like passed around. And you know, I would never want my face to be on a fucking meme and for me to be associated with like whatever it is. So I started looking at like alternatives for that, like characters and stuff. And I think I was making a meme about like only wanting to see Fashion Nova ads on my Instagram feed. And then I found these guys, and I don't know, I basically like immediately became obsessed with them and like fell into a pit. And like I was like in a bad depression for a few months at the time, and like all I would do was like find these characters and like put them in a folder on my desktop, and it would make me so happy. But the thing that's really interesting to me about them is these are like young kids, like mostly girls. These are like young girls that are making these characters. This is how they're choosing to present themselves on the internet. This is like how they want to project themselves. And so like obviously a lot of them are like hypersexualized. The proportions are sometimes ridiculous, which is like a whole other thing, like idealizing proportions that are like not normal for white people but might be normal for other people. And then also like the drip, like they're way drippier than I would ever dream of being.
Very fashion forward.
I only picked the drippiest ones. Some of these are not like the most drippy, but
nah, these are like chunky feelers, clearly.
Yeah, exactly. Disruptors. Yeah, exactly. Nah. So yeah, so it's just like kind of this weird, bizarre thing for me because of my relationship to that shit growing up with like body image issues and like again like capitalism and branding, like all that stuff. And also like
an avatar.
I don't know, feeling different, feeling other, like all that shit. And like, yeah, exactly. It's an avatar. And to see how these mostly girls are like I didn't have that growing up, you know. I had like The Sims, and it was like not that customizable. And like honestly, not to show my age, but we didn't even have the internet. And sometimes, I mean, I guess we did eventually have dial-up, but like we had The Sims and it was not connected to anything. So I did not have the option of like making this shit. And yeah, so there's like real political and like psychological like things going on with these characters. And I'm just like, I don't know, I think my like it used to be like an attraction repulsion thing, but now I'm just obsessed with them. Like maybe slight critical awareness, but it's diminished a lot since the beginning. It's just come to embrace it, I guess.
Cool. I think the next, there's this one as well.
Ooh, we look just like Buddy Holly.
I love the fact that you haven't actually played the game.
I know, it's so weird. The thing is, like, I consider playing it. Oh, there's more. Yeah, there's more I can say on it too. I'll be quick though. I don't want to. Yeah. So I'm afraid of like playing it because I'm afraid it's gonna lose its magic. I actually like went to go do it one time and I'm like, no, this is gonna ruin everything for me. The other thing that I wanted to say about it is like there is some conflict because I'm finding these, well, for a while I was mostly finding them through like Google image searches. And like these are things that like young people created and I'm like consuming them. I have no idea where they come from. It's usually like third party platforms that are posting them where I get them from. So like I don't, credit anyone, like nothing. So like I'm benefiting from the labor of these young people and they're like often labors of love and like very personal things. So I feel like so much conflict there, but here I am still doing it.
You're like back to the same square of like didn't want to use people.
Yeah.
The people are.
There's no ethical consumption of the late internet.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next.
Hey.
Yeah, I love this one just because it's like,
Yeah.
Dunk
on them hoes.
Sheer silliness.
She
I
just
don't
got
even watch basketball like that personally. Like I don't really watch basketball. I was terrible at basketball. I don't even play NBA Live. I don't know. This is the art memes. Crossing over to like knowing that it's gonna hit like the note of people who know this like famous painting, and then like kind of just inserting some shit. I don't know. This is really silly. These are the ideas that like memes end up being a therapeutic practice for me. Like how some people feel like painting, they just like get in the zone, and this being like a meme that I had the idea for a long time, and it was just the act of like actually photoshopping this thing to a point where I was like, oh, I'm satisfied with how this looks, which I guess I can talk about that part of the meme process is that like sometimes I'm like sad or like I'm angry about something or like something happened and like I need to process but like don't have anybody to talk to some kind of shit, and I'm like, all right, cool, well let me now make that really complicated meme that I needed like 4 different elements for, that I had to sit down on Photoshop on my computer for hours and actually make, and by the time I'm done making this, this is a very one-line joke. Like it was a very simple, silly one-line joke, but like I remember it took hours to make, and at the end of it, I forgot. I don't think this was one that I made like during some under duress, but like there have been other ones. By the time I was done with the meme, I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot about that thing that was going on that now I have to re-deal with, but like buys you time to like actually sit there and process shit. So like back to actually what you're saying about like, oh, I happen to be depressed during this time. I'm like, lol, all of the time.
I'm glad that you said anger because all of my content comes from anger. I'm not an angry person, so when it happens, like I need a place to channel it, just like get it off, and then like it's done. Yeah, exactly. I want to ask you about your watermark too, because I love that. I always love that. I love seeing it. That's my question. Talk about.
Yeah. I guess this comes from like the earlier post-internet art kind of imperative of like putting these interface aesthetics onto shit to make it seem like more legitimate. I always wanted to make things that people kind of saw and had to like look at twice to know if it was real. And so like that, also just like Photoshop experiments and like trying to learn how to do Photoshop better and like having things look very, very crisp and whatnot. I mean, that's kind of it. Like I came from a photo background, so like Getty Images was a photo thing, thinking about like disk stock and, just having like a watermark that's also like uniform, because I don't know if this image has the watermark in it.
No,
but,
interestingly, it doesn't.
There's a version of it. The one that I have on Facebook actually has the watermark on it, but like, we can talk about watermarks as well, because like I used to watermark everything, and now I don't watermark everything, but I still watermark some things. And as a design element, it's a weird thing, so like the petty images is something that actually could go over this, but like it it interrupts the space in a way that we're accustomed to having that particular icon interrupt the space in a way that like a lot of other memes that I've made and even ones that I've seen, you know, like you have to like kind of hide the watermark somewhere, like in the curve, or like find something that's straight so that when you're making it on Photoshop for my phone, that like I don't have to like try to do all these, you know, like gymnastics or like put in the background, make it like half transparency or whatever. I don't know. You can go to the next slide. Back to the Duchamp one. Yeah. So this one was supposed to have a watermark in it, but I was like, the image, it interrupts the image too much, which you know, I would hope. Not I would hope. Like I went to art school and like the Duchamp fountain. I don't know. This is also like one note. Like I would hope that like my brand is like one note that is real complicated. If you like, you could like draw a whole bunch of more notes out of this one note. Cause like,
I'd say so.
Yeah, like I kind of don't know what to say. Like I want white people to feel some type of way about the canon of art and how white it is and how like
It's like, cool, gas up this toilet.
What's that?
It's like, gas up this fucking toilet. If you like it so much, why don't you fucking drink from it?
Yeah.
It's so fucking
profound. Like I wasn't even thinking about that. For me, I was just thinking about like the access of like what is again legible as excellence in regards to like art, and what I'm sure there was a nigga who was making like really dope shit like while Marcel was making this like very like conceptual like institutional critique type shit, that there was some nigga that was not allowed to be in whatever career track that would have led him to be in the same expo. You know, there are all of these barriers that like people are like, oh, why do we only read whatever canonical literature, which is a bunch of old white dudes in high
school? He was probably named Marcel Duchamp.
Yeah, right. Like why is our canon as a generalization of society, like why is the canon so white? And not just that, like that's a given about society. We already have asked that question and we know why. But I want us to actively think about the niggas that weren't in the room. Like all of this shit about like Jack Daniels, like the recipe was actually made by a slave. And it's like, I want y'all to know that everything was made by somebody. Like this goes back to like the creed that Faith talks about all the time. Like all of the non-black art is blackface. Like y'all are copying something that we made. For some reason, that white person got more famous or had more access to the like institutional credentials and the network and all of this type of shit to be in the position that we know who Marcel Duchamp is.
They weren't dealing with apartheid. They weren't dealing with apartheid.
Yeah, which steals a lot of your time. You know, like you're about your shit. Like that artist had to make work about being a nigger in 1920 as opposed to like, what about this fountain, you know?
What do I think about the color lavender?
Yeah. So like going back to making like nonsense and not just nonsense, but I think it's important for us to have like a space to not be reacting to just being black. Mm-hmm. And I also think like with this particular meme, I think it's fun. And I don't think you have to do it, but like it's fun for me to make things that like indict whiteness or like the white gaze. Because as a black person, whenever we see these images of like the civil rights movement, it's like, you know, you're in the class and you get to the chapter on slavery and all the white kids look at you like sometimes like it's about you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I want white people to be implicated in where they like what the things, the history, the canon, and like the ideals and icons that they like uphold still to this day, like Marcel Duchamp. Like, what is the other flip side of that coin? Like, when you're looking at this image, don't just think about the racism that happened in 1950 and those poor black people who are better off now. Like, think about what was what were y'all doing?
Yeah, think about the toilet ideology that props this whole shit up.
Yeah. Fuck ass shit.
This one was hilarious to me just because you riffed on that phrase, and there's so much history around like that phrase of blank is the nigger of the world, and like non-black people saying that shit. You got Yoko Ono famously, and then Bjork.
I don't know how this didn't get deleted off of Insta and Facebook.
I was shocked to find it.
Yeah.
There.
I don't know.
Because it's not protecting white men. It's not. It wouldn't be in protection of white men. So you're good. Keep it moving. You got it.
I guess. This is a funny thing. Like I watched a couple of episodes of the show and I was like, this is like, it's a comedy, but it's still about prison, which is like, you know, it's hard to watch. So
white people are in prison now.
Yeah, this time.
It's also just bootleg Oz. I will just.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about this meme.
Yeah, I don't know why I picked it. Maybe I was just like, let me sprinkle some nigger in here.
Yeah, other than like non-black people analogizing blackness into any kind of struggle that's like, oh, this is kind of what it must be like, blah, blah. No, it's not. Shut your ass up. Like, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go to the next one, which is actually a real art object. But,
yeah.
This is one of my favorites.
This was first made as a meme. The starter pack meme is one of my favorite meme formats because it's so facile. Like, all you have to do is go, like, all blah 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 do is like eat hot chip blah. You like literally just, the more things you list, the more specific it becomes, which makes it better, which makes it easier for you, especially if you're just like collecting images from Photoshop. It's the best. And then you get these like very specific things that are like, damn, like you hit a whole bunch of shit. And like people, if you actually relate to it, it's like a read. And if you don't, then maybe you learn something, or like you get to like stereotype somebody in the future, you know, like. But me being a black male artist, I don't know. Yeah, this is one of those other ones where it's like half about me and then half about other people.
is that a digital scale at the bottom right? What is that?
It's a Korg sampler.
Okay.
Yeah. Because niggas got to make beats, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be a DJ or a rapper and, you know, like, you black it up. Smoke blacks. Somehow there has to be a Basquiat reference. You have to, like, suck Basquiat's dick in some kind of metaphorical way as a black man who makes art. I don't know. The basketball is a go. Your obligatory do-rag joint up in there, which Jenson got the obligatory do-rag joint as well. Everybody got a fake and an obligatory do-rag joint. Covered in black. This is some of the things about me, because some of the objects are my own, but more so about me not wanting to be a black artist, like, and not wanting to make black art. Like, there's another one with like black women artists that is a little bit more sincere, or just like patterns of my friends, because like I don't live that life, so it wasn't like a read. This is more of like, damn, like you had nothing else to think about, so you just like basketball, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me put as many basketball, like put a bird on it, like that's basketball for niggas. Yeah. It's like, can we? Yeah. Wow. Hold on. Pause. Critical pause for that. Yeah. Just
we want that basketball, like that little Bow Wow song.
Yeah.
Yo, speaking of commodification, one of the things I've been doing in quarantine with my roommate is just going through like deep dive music videos from olden days and currently. And watching old Bow Wow videos is this fucking trip due to the way that he's like sexualized as a child, and counterpointed with like grown ass women who are supposed to be thirsting after him. Go back and watch the Bow Wow videos. It's creepy as shit.
Back.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say about this one. I don't know if you had any specific questions about Jenson. Oh shit.
Nah, but I love this.
Yeah.
Clickbait is the title of this, right?
Yeah.
You've been doing 3D renderings.
Yeah, off and on, mostly off for the longer time. But yeah, I've always wanted to do like 3D, and it's kind of like painting. This was like a simple object that again worked on for a long ass time to get this like really dumb joke off, which probably like I want to hold this object in real life, and that's where the me making shit in real life comes from, where I'm like, all right, I made this joke and now I want it to be something that somebody has in their home or, you know, in an art show, because these images circulate on the internet and there's a lot of people who I might want to get this word that may not be in the networks that see memes on the internet. You know what I'm saying? That would like similarly find joy or, you know, repulse in this object, that I could access that and give them this if it was made in real life.
Yeah, it's like, it's crazy. It just, like you were saying, notes. There's so many notes to this. Like, I'm just thinking of a mouse that's expressly designed to go look at porn. Like, this is my porn mouse. I got a work mouse and I got a mouse that's just for pornography.
Or the whacking.
Yeah.
Now I have
You
to
don't
make
want to get it.
And it's
Sapatron.
and it's phallic, but it also, I guess, there's like a clit. So yeah.
It's all the shits you could need. Swift and changeable.
Yeah.
You should see the other side.
Is it just like a butthole on the other? Instead of a butthole, and then like the little mouse ball is just like lodged in the butthole.
Prairie dogging. We've gotten off track, a little too far off track. We've gone
Chains.
to the butthole part of
Pastiche,
it.
I'm really interested in what you were talking about with regards to like you having some of this content online, but you wanting to bring it into like physical form, because that's like kind of some of what I do as well. So like, I don't know. I want you to talk, like, if you can, like, talk more about that, because I'm personally interested in like how you navigate it and how you make sense of it, and what your like how you got to that point. I'm trying to think of a like question to direct. But
that's where I started. So I went to art school. You know, like I was a sculptor. I still am a sculptor, but like before I was making memes repeatedly, I was making things in real life. And I guess kind of the turning point for that being part of my practice was like in 2016 when I was moving to New York, but like many months that summer, I just didn't have any of my shit. Like all of my shit was in storage. I had like my computer and my phone, and I was living, you know, sleeping on my sister's couch, friends' couches, in my car, you know, being out and not having access to making shit. So a lot of shit that I made was like prototypes on Photoshop that, you know, it was satisfying enough to make the image. And then I was like, all right, now when I moved here, had a studio, I had nothing but time, because I lived in the studio and didn't want to be asleep during the daytime while other people were working. And I was just like, all right, cool. Now I don't have to manufacture or synthesize new ideas. I can just like make all of this shit that I already had sketches of, but just make it in real life. And then also, yeah, coming from an art background and seeing how memes travel, it's part of it is an access thing. Like I want people to see certain objects in real life because, yeah, like I showed that starter pack, and then there was another one that I made the same size, same series. It was like the woke, in quotation marks, woke gentrifier starter pack, and both of those I showed at Brick last summer at a show. And it was, you know, went to the opening, and there were so many people there that are just, you know, like regular art folks, but like older white people that didn't know what a starter pack meme was. And so I just had to explain that like very briefly, but then also got to get like the object itself made sense even outside of them not knowing what memes are. And so like I want some of these conversations that I enjoy so much that happen on the internet to be accessible to people who are not part of that. Like my mom. My mom is the metric for me making shit accessible. And like she was able to see I was able to have certain conversations with her about shit that I talk about on the internet really freely due to the fact that I made those objects in person, and she would have never seen them otherwise if that wasn't the case.
It's so interesting to hear you talking about, like, for you, part of the accessibility thing is to bring it offline, because I know, like, in a lot of the art world and art spheres and stuff, like, there's the concern that like galleries and museums are like not accessible for most people, most working people, you know, and
True.
But to think of it as like a more holistic thing with like cross-pollination or like whatever, like it's broad, like the world is broader. It's not just like the internet and then like not on the internet. I don't know, but it's really interesting to hear you talk about that, so thank you.
Yeah, how do you feel about the objects that you make? I guess people seeing them, does it start as the internet thing or the real life thing?
Like you, I went to art school. I went to art school for jewelry and metal stuff, and it was like maybe a year and a half after making having a meme page that I started. I realized the way I was working was like super slow, and I was like really catering to like this facet of jewelry that I was indoctrinated into, which is like contemporary jewelry. So basically it just goes into museums or galleries and is sold to like old rich white people living off of their dead husband's money or whatever. And I'm like, that's not what I'm about. That's like not. And I like literally was just creating work for that. So once I started making memes, I'm like, okay, who am I? What, like, who do I like connecting with? Who do I like making shit for? And like, how do I use my memes as like a method of coping and stuff, and like the humor behind it, which for me is like, I don't know, I guess like supporting my own mental health and like making sense of the world and like being able to like, I just like get jokes off quickly and then I keep it moving and it's accessible and whatever. So I started bringing like the text and the method of like carving or alternate engraving that comes from like nameplates and from like graffiti, like scratchies and stuff like that. So it was like really quick and easy and cheap, and like a lot of the phrases are ones that I use in my memes, so or like at least the same vibe. Some of them are like dumb bitch is like obviously that's classic, but but like same vibes, basically like the same energy, and I don't know, and so it just kind of like this. Say it again.
The voice.
The same what?
Still the same author.
The voice. Yeah, no, it's absolutely the same voice, and it's the same like rapid, like get a joke off and like keep it moving and just get it to like whoever. So yeah, I don't know, and like I try to like not make them too expensive. Accessibility is like really important to me and like all that shit, but like the main thing for me about like making something that is a commodity and like does have this language, like going back to some of the vernacular that we were talking about earlier, like I've had mad people come tell me like how much it means to them to have a pendant that says like I can't stand you hoes or something. I don't know, or like something like that they can wear to like their job at white institutions where like they're the only person of color like in like a suit or some shit, you know? And I've had people tell me that like that these are like phrases that they use coming up and like at some point they like they said they outgrew them So I was like, do you mean that you just started working in this white space? And they're like, actually, yes, that's exactly what I meant. So it's like being able to hold on to something like that that's like so at our core, you know, and like something like the internet in some ways, like my Instagram, like 3/4 of it I hate, but like 1/4 of it is like a sacred space in some ways because it really is like the true embodiment of who I am, or something like that. You know, it like makes me feel like my full self. Say again.
It also punctuates time. So I was thinking about like what you said about the like people having that nameplate and being able to be like, oh, this is something that I relate to that actually exists in space, and then relating that back to the fact that our internet spaces are ours, and they have this chronological archive, but that could go at some point, and just in contrast to how I consider my own art and other people's art. Like if I have somebody's art, I'm not gonna throw it away. You know, like
it's tangible, it's permanent.
And so like there are some of the text-based paintings that I have are specifically for that reason, to like punctuate a phrase and like remember it and remember like what differences in culture might happen between when I created this thing and maybe 10 years later. Or like the fact that, maybe you might forget like what Hot Girl Summer was in 20 years. And you know, like, oh, now I have this physical object that otherwise, you know, I might have, maybe we all leave Instagram and go to, I don't know, some new platform. And then you're totally fine. You remember that shit that happened, but like, you're not being actively refreshed on it. That for me is part of the reason why I make art. Like when I make art, or specifically art objects out of the memes that I've made, it's for that reason. It's because I know that this painting is going to get saved or stored in real life more than the decontextualized image macro that I put on the internet. Even within my own archive, it's a lot easier for me to like keep those things and track them and like go back to it, because for like Drake painting that I have, like it's a 5-foot painting that exists in my studio. Everyone that comes into there is going to talk about it, and then I have to have this conversation, which is a conversation about the passage of time.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's like it's not just like about the algorithm and like the transitory nature of that, but like also if some of these things are cultural references and like the internet does move so quickly and like mimetic trends move quickly, then like what the fuck is this going to mean next week, let alone in like a couple years from now? And like the shit that I make is fucking built to last as hell. So it's just it's like last night I was like, should I make a pendant that says, you know, the fucking vibes, or like is everyone off that too much? Like is it relevant? Like should I do it? And I'm like, I'm just gonna do it because I want to do it. But it's like, I don't know, like bringing permanence to something that
you're not sure
like does feel
vibes.
No, I clearly do not know the vibes. I'm clearly questioning the vibes.
I'd like for us to move to Nick's memes, Black Power bottom text.
Hey.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Did
I mean,
Meg
okay,
break
so
cheat
this
code? What's your thought?
this is like a like blackness as a Fortnite skin, right? So it's only as far as you can, you know. So Fortnite, once you die once, you have to like wait another period until you get revived, until everyone in your whatever gets murked. So pretty much like all these three people are saying like, does Meg break G code until we all die, until we all finish our blackness? Is that too deep?
And then respawn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speak on it.
Yeah, that's all I got. I just keep, for some reason I just want to like do Barack Obama. Like Megan Thee Stallion didn't break G code.
This is a broader kind
Holy shit!
There is no G code. We are one country.
Joe Biden and I and our administration passed legislature that removed the G code so that kids wouldn't have to compete to prove how G they are.
You're like scarily good at that.
Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one if that's all right.
Go for it.
I remember that.
Yeah, this one got. I was astonished by it. This. I think this got 24,000 likes. I was like, "Holy fuck!" Because yeah, the closest memes on your page, it was like 3,000 likes. This one just had an astonishing amount. I was like, people really resonated with this crying black cop.
Why though?
Because the motherfucking race wars, duh.
But it's not a white cop. It's a black cop. They know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Realizing that they're on the wrong side of the line of the race wars, that they're actually protecting the oppressor.
But the majority of the people who like this account, like this post, are white.
Exactly. Circling back to our earlier conversation about white guilt or whatever, maybe. Or like a sudden awareness of things that happened overnight.
I think really is like who kind of negotiates the like guilt of participating in white supremacy. I think it's always the black person, like the coon, the uncle, the like what's it called, the who's that person in who's that
Uncle
person
Tom.
yeah, but who's that person
And Django.
Django, yeah, who's that? Who's it?
I forget his name, but
Yeah, I don't remember his name either.
Samuel
like,
Jackson.
it was Uncle
Samuel
Ruckus,
Jackson.
basically.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson. It's like it's easier to pin acceptance of white supremacy on to the Samuel Jackson character as it is to the what's his name? The
slave man.
Yeah, who's the slave dude? Who's the
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Calvin
Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, exactly. It's easier to pin white supremacy onto the co-facilitator than it is to the facilitator.
Yeah, I guess white people also have this weird. I mean, I guess black people have it too, but we know better. This weird idea that like being a cop, that being a black cop is somehow like this conflict that black people, I don't know, like, oh, why would you be a cop? You know, black people are supposed to be, you know, that like black people, I don't know, would be more conflicted about becoming cops and like get to project, which again, in the same way that I'm thinking, like, it's always the subject, like thinking about like, oh, the black person in this circumstance, as opposed to like why it's normal for you to see white people as being violent, oppressive tools of the state. You know, like that black people being cops is like, oh, why would you be a cop? And it's like, but because you understand that y'all are the cops, like y'all are it's like normal for white people to be cops. I think this meme is funny to me because like, I think the part of the reaction and the timing is that people, I think during this time, this like particular wave of protests, a lot of people have had to think about like the material effect of labor, like literally just choosing a job and like being jobless and like what people are getting paid to do right now, which is weird because, you know, we've been doing the same shit for years. We all get paid to do the same shit. Cops have been cops, but like somehow right now it's more that like, damn, you really chose to be a cop. Like out of all of the things in this moment, like nothing's happening. Like all you're doing is being anti the moment.
Yes, read the room, officer.
Read the room, it's Miranda rights before.
Oh, wow.
360
Next.
waves, though.
Okay,
Back,
this
back,
seems
back.
pretty obvious.
I was hoping we could like unpack why Garfield is such a prominent icon in meme culture. Why Garfield?
I mean, I think Garfield is like a daddy Dom to anyone else who's trying to kind of solidify themselves into a situation that does not kind of recognize the work week. Garfield kind of
Well,
John
John was definitely the sub.
Yeah, go for it.
No, that was just my read. Like,
You need to read more.
and then
Garfield is
Odie.
definitely
Isn't there an Odie in Garfield as well? Odie.
Yeah.
I
I say
don't know.
Garfield is the findom, and then like also represents like this, I guess, the acceptable laziness. Like Garfield had to be a cat because anybody else being like
Garfield's
lazy.
always refusing. Garfield is like a state of refusal.
Yeah.
The motherfucker's always like reclining and leisurely and like not doing what you tell him to do.
Mm-hmm. And still just like eating a whole bunch of lasagna, you know, like really doesn't give a fuck. Which
He's like, fuck Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Mondays thing, like Monday being code word for niggers rather. Like
I haven't heard that. That's news.
No,
Yeah, I hear that.
I thought Monday was just a shitty day. I didn't know it was like.
Y'all have never heard this? Oh wow.
No.
Well, that's a thing. That's a thing.
Okay.
Speak on it.
I hate Mondays.
I mean,
Because
I get it.
everyone hates them.
I don't know which
What?
thing.
What's like the etymology there?
But
All right, I'm gonna go to the next one.
Can someone speak this out loud?
I don't hate white people, but I do hate people with an allegiance to whiteness. That means you too, Jamal. We know you don't actually like Tame Impala.
Okay, you don't. Tame Impala fucking sucks. It's one freaking white fool.
Not really listen to Tame Impala. Confession.
Okay, I'm gonna say the most embarrassing thing I've ever said publicly in my entire life, but there is one Tame Impala bop.
Hey, Inner Speaker Goes, that first album. It's really
Yeah.
good.
Okay, all right. Oh my god.
But all their other shit is just kind of like all their other shit is just it's just music to shop at Urban Outfitters too. You know.
Yeah.
Shoplift.
All right.
Yeah, but that's an important distinction too. Is like whiteness as an ideological construct, a social construct, a material construct. Like, but white people aren't ready to do that work. So, and not Jamal either. I don't know.
This goes back to the same like thing about the cops, right? That like white people are already preconditioned to have an allegiance to whiteness without even knowing that like it's not a real thing, you know, like
as our black people, like as our like one thing I do at my job, I don't want to be too specific, but I'll just watch because I work with a lot of boomers. This isn't fair to like the old black boomers, but I'll watch like how they like laugh extra hard at like the white coworkers' jokes, almost like just cheering them on in a very sort of like It's like a pedant kind of thing. It's weird. It's really weird.
Nick, it's
I think
what
it
if
might.
imperialism had a girl boss?
Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself.
True.
What were did you get comments for this?
Yeah, I mean, this got deleted pretty
What?
quickly.
Shit. What?
Oh no, this was the my refrain from ISIS.
Hmm.
I was like, can I dial it back? I
Damn.
mean, this is the what's it called, the what's this group of people called?
The Squad,
Wow.
right?
The Squad. Yeah, what if the Squad had a girl boss, but really it's like, imperialism, because they are kind of enacting that kind of same thing. So I don't really know how to talk about my memes.
No, that's fine. They speak for themselves, like you said.
I'm just always curious when people like critique otherwise popular folk. People who are like, oh, I generally like these people in terms of like, as far as United States legislators go, they're relatively not the worst.
That's
Versus,
pretty much exactly what the response was, is like, those are social democrats. Those are people who kind of have understanding of first world problems.
Yeah.
They don't
They're
understand
the people
how-
that I would want in charge of the largest war machine on the planet.
exactly, but not really understand how they have this accreditation that allows them to, decide where the bombs go. Like, I want someone who knows my face, who kind of can configure these carpet bombs in a way that harms only, light-skinned black people, not really dark-skinned black people.
I want someone that's going to bring a Telfar bag to the Senate floor. That was like the favorite thing I ever read. I'm not crediting myself with that, but I love that.
That's a collab.
Yeah, drone strikes with a conscience.
Drone strikes with a drip.
Yeah.
Facts. They're drippy. I'd run for Congress or Senate or whatever.
I like this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's the My Little Pony and then Our Little Pony.
Yeah, right now is Cuba Libre is a Instagram account that's saying the war crimes on Cuba are obviously more detrimental than we're being taught they are. The Cuba doctor program is actually like a slave program that we're actually like leasing out. Cuba is leasing out doctors to other countries for millions and billions of dollars. When I'm saying right now is like, the Cubans in Miami are like, oh no, like they took away my slaves, and I'm saying like, yeah, we're collectivizing the slaves. So I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Is anyone down for Q&A?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to pee bad. That's why I'm just like writhing around in my chair. So I'll be right back.
Pastiche encouraged us to drink water, so that's your fault.
I did it.
I'm sorry.
Good old input output,
I should be encouraging you to do drugs and steal from the American tax.
Sephora.
From Sephora, yes. Yeah. I think also memes are like a good place to encourage people to do like good things and like normalize language that, you know, like sneak it in because you're making iterations of a thing, you know.
What kind of language? Like, what do you mean?
One of my favorite memes from this year, because it's come up so often and has been circulated in a way that like probably isn't more than anything that I've been, but I like the fact that like people have it to circulate, which is the like, oh no, don't pay your rent, you're so sexy, aha, like that joint, where it's like I want people to have a facile and then also kind of just like a repetitive reason for us to like continue saying, hey, don't pay your rent. Like, I know some of you can't not pay your rent, but like, I know some of you, this is half joking. Some of you, it isn't joking, but like, let's continue saying this and let's continue like making people's minds go to not paying their rent during a fucking pandemic where nobody has, you know, like people don't have jobs and like aren't making money, you know, like
And it's so different to say someone like something like that, like with like authoritatively, like, hey, don't pay your rent, versus like, hey, this is like a light joke, but you're gonna see it so much it's gonna like soak in a little bit, you know?
Maybe I shouldn't pay my rent.
That shit is powerful.
We can sissy hypno the American, the proletariat into not paying rent.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, what do you?
I mean, actually, though, that's why there's so much, you know, like fucking Bloomberg paying people to make memes for her campaign, like all that shit, because, and like viral advertising, all that shit, because corporations and politicians know that there's power in this. You know, there's a power to like have serious influence.
This isn't a sellout question. Like, don't think of it in a sellout way, but like in terms of how much labor it would have to take for you to make a positive Mike Bloomberg meme. Like, how much would somebody have?
He was offering free housing plus like a bag, so you know.
A Telfar.
Bloomberg Telfar for everyone.
A Telfar. No. Like a few stacks, you know. Come on, I got the Telfar. No, I don't know. It's really hard to wrestle with shit like that. Like people have asked me stuff like to make stuff for like politicians and like like not that poppin', but it's hard to like convince myself. It's hard enough for me to convince myself it's okay to make work that's a commodity, let alone to like fuel this fucking system that like is so at odds with anything I stand for.
Yeah.
Political system.
Did Nick leave for good?
Powerless. I don't know. Let me check some.
Have we answered questions? Do people want to answer questions in the Google Doc?
Oh, I don't see the Google Doc. Could y'all bring
It's in the chat.
It's in the
so
chat.
If you go to the very top comment from Akram.
Oh, gotcha. Knowing Nick, their phone probably died, but let's see.
Let's see what questions. Welcome to the Q&A.
How about Akram just throws questions into the chat?
What does that mean?
From the Google Doc.
Oh, I love the chaos in here. I can't read any of this.
Yeah,
shit.
right. It's fucked up.
How many of your memes would you make material? Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is a funny thing. The how many of your memes would you make material? Because we talked about this kind of, but
well, I feel like the questions came about as we were talking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about this question and reposing it to the rest of y'all in a different angle, in that how do y'all feel about meme shows
Corny.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
mean, that's
wait.
a
Someone put a
knee-jerk
question.
reaction is corny.
Yeah, exactly. If it doesn't make sense because it's again like it's going to the idea of like needing an institution to validate some like creative form. And I think also there's a question here that says, I don't know if like part one and part two are like part of the same thing, but it says, what about artists that paint memes? And
Corny.
there's
Corny.
yeah. Yo,
Mad
I swear
corny.
to
Paint
God,
your own
like every
shit.
single teacher at art schools are like, oh, you make memes, like you should paint them. Like, how are you gonna paint them? Like you need to put them in a gallery, so you gotta paint them. Like this is such interesting stuff. You gotta paint it. Like
No, I'm gonna paint a meme
a lot of
and
people
sell
are
it for
doing this, and it
$7,000.
exactly. And it's like this is totally devoid of like any of the reasons why memes are important, you know, any reason why they're culturally
Make
relevant.
memes, but like props to me for like cutting through meme culture straight to the art market. Like I figured that out. I know how to like paint memes.
I mean,
Cool.
yeah. Are there like people? I was just thinking about like people who paint their own memes, and there are like tons of them out there, and then like have gallery shows. And I've been encouraged to do similar shit. But are there people that actually just take straight up like Twitter whatever memes and paint them?
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't know the name of the artist, but there's definitely an artist who just like painted impact bold memes that were all about like Bitcoin. And I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, I haven't seen it not be corny anywhere.
Yeah.
I've thought about painting certain things. I like GIF reactions, and I think that art does tend to like preserve and historicize things. So I want some of those moments to be frozen in what would be a painting. But when it becomes an image macro, it's the text that fucks it up. Like the image itself being just an image, especially if it's out of context, then requires a familiarity, and then that becomes the joke if you have it either in a gallery, during some group show, or even in your house. And that's more of like in my mind conceptually, I relate it more to a screenshot during like a specific moment, a scene in a movie, than I do for memes. So yeah,
My question, does a meme have to be funny, and does a meme require a joke? Like, because I make shit that's not funny in that traditional sense. It's funny in some like, spacey, abject way. It's not laugh out loud funny. So, and there's art that's funny, but it's not funny in a way that's like, I set up a joke and there's a punchline. You know what I mean? So I don't know, I'm just trying to complicate that conversation a bit. Like,
it's not inherent. Like, I mean,
does a meme have
this up, but like the etymology of like meme before it was internet meme is like there's nothing that's inherently supposed to be funny about that,
Yeah.
And then talking about like image macros as another thing, like it's a way of conveying like culturally relevant information that people can then go like spread. That's it. There's no like requirement for something to be funny or not funny.
Charles Dawkins was not talking about Pasha's fantasy
4chan.
world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just has to be the same. Because I remember, was a couple of years ago, the trend of having these like really long paragraph memes that were like very specific, like emotional distress.
Too long. Not
Yeah.
reading.
Well, I did read. Half of them. I read half of them, and then some of them are like, this is actually, it's aggravating to like, it's hard to like actually read. But yeah, some of the things, and then again, the same kind of therapeutic moment that I've had in my own life where writing a long ass paragraph, and it's something that's really specific but just vaguely written enough that other people relate to. That's not funny at all. Like it's like, not even the ha part, but just like, damn, that was weird. And then it just so happens that a lot of times when people do write these things out, it sounds funny. One of my favorite ones from recently was like, "Oh, did you know that instead of pursuing your creative dreams, you can just have orgasms in your room alone?" Damn, I like I
Brand
do.
new.
Now that you frame it that way, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I do this,
Because federal unemployment is coming back.
and it's like not funny. I feel very much some type of way about it, but like the fact that somebody
Yeah.
said it, out loud.
But then you think about the orgasm, and then you're like, ah.
Terry, like
Yeah.
damn, the orgasm of having, I don't know, the orgasm of seeing your own memes out in the wild, like somebody reshares something, like it's not from your network at all, and you are just somewhere and like, oh, I made that.
That's a good
Yeah.
feeling.
It's a good
What's
feeling.
your best one?
Best meme?
What's the best share? No, what's the best share that you ever had? And was there one that you were like, what the fuck? Or is
Not-
it just generally seeing like
There was
it
one that I saw.
being passed around?
Yeah, there was one that this feeling came up with, which I don't remember what context it was shared in, but originally this was like when Carlos Santana said something about Beyonce and her not being a good musician, and obviously people jumped on that ass. And so like I had made this meme that was like, whose line is it anyway? But just replace it with who man's is this anyway? And it was like weeks, not even weeks, years later in a group, like in an art group that I'm with, and somebody reshared that, and I was like, I know I didn't share this here. Nobody here, most of the people here aren't friends with me, like just on Facebook. This is just like some random ass group, and I was like, damn, it gets around. Because I think like the reach of shit is so hyperinflated in my mind because most of the people who I see sharing things from me are my friends, and or like one step or two step removed from my friends. So
like if you see it out of context, then it really broke through that filter bubble.
Yeah. I think that's probably the thing when you start a meme, which I haven't done, or not to.
I've never started a meme.
Yeah.
I don't think me and Jenson's content is like makes it very easy for people to rip off of. Although there was one that said, mine said, I don't send you nudes because I like you. I send you nudes because I like attention. And then some like, like sense type Instagram page made it like, I don't send you drip pics, which is like infinitely better than mine was. Or like kind of mad about it. They like literally took the entire thing and just like changed the word. And I'm like, damn, you did a good job.
Drip pics.
Makes me proud. Yeah. Or fit pics, they probably said, but I would say drip pics personally. Semantics. I'm gonna look at more questions.
Oh yeah, I haven't actually been looking at these. I'm tripping.
Definitely not gonna answer the what's a meme question. Like, what's pizza?
This question. There's like an end. There's the end of this question is really good. Also, what would you think? What would you think if in 10 years there was Rap Genius for memes that destroyed your encryption?
Damn, that question just destroyed me.
Oh my God! Someone wrote in Comic Sans, "I love you, thank you."
I mean, know your meme exists.
Yeah,
exactly. But does
they're
it
already
destroy
sort of
your
doing that
encryption?
work.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're absolutely doing that work.
I think it's too much. Like, there's a lot of music out there, and you can still do that. But like, even with memes, and I wish that there could be a technology to do this. This would be some like really fucked up. It would require so much processing and surveillance, honestly, that it would be fucked up. But I would want something like, my idea would be like this kind of like matrix, like a meme matrix where you could like go to, like, you have almost like Google reverse image search of like the Doge, like just the image, and then you scrub sideways and you get into like these type of memes, and you scrub this way and you get into these type of memes, and you can go
Like a web.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be crazy to see
That's
like
kind of
almost a
dumb.
meme family tree, and
Yeah.
like every instance of like that meme being riffed on and like where it circulated. But yeah, that would be a little OD.
It would be a lot.
A little.
Like a blockchain.
It's gonna happen,
I don't
probably.
know how blockchains work, so I just throw it out there. It's just like blockchain for AV. Like you haven't earned this. But yeah, I just be like not actually, not reading the thing, not knowing about blockchain, making memes about Bitcoins, not watching Avatar and making memes about it, like just ultimate posing, having people get mad when you're like doing some shit that you're not in, that whole like Thrasher, like, are you wearing this shirt? I've had people wearing Jenson's.
Do you even skate,
like,
bro? Do you even lift, bro?
Yeah. Or this is interesting because Ashley, you also come from an art background, because I feel like memes are, in a lot of ways, it's easier to make. You know, like it takes less time. The means of like distributing it are just me posting the shit. The only thing that's at stake is really like my reputation on the internet, which is, I mean, you know what it is.
It's gone. It's done for.
Yeah. That like when I'm making art, it takes a long time because one, I'm making this physical object that I'm probably paying money to get materials for, and I'm spending all of this time, and I have to store it and all that kind of shit. But I feel like memes, I don't have to do that, and I take it.
Yeah,
seriously.
and that's one of the reasons why they're so accessible, and why I just think they're like so beautifully accessible for those reasons. Like materials are fucking expensive, space is expensive, like all this shit. Sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
Oh no, that's what I was saying. The space is expensive, and then like all of this. My only problem with that is that we don't get the same kind of provenance, and then you do have places that, you know, yeah, your large corporate meme aggregator becomes a thing, which isn't as big of a problem right now, fortunately, but it is a thing. It's like
Corporate meme aggregator. So
Yeah,
like the
that's
concern there
You're
is
talking about like a
you're
big meme
creating-
page that culls content and then monetizes from.
I've never heard of anything like this before.
Yeah.
No concept.
Yeah,
I've never even.
I'm hungry. I'm
I
gonna
can't
go
imagine.
have some sunny side up eggs and then wash it down with some grape juice, boy.
Boy. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. That
Wow.
sounds delicious.
Yeah.
That sounds repulsive. I mean, but like,
here's a question.
I don't know. Yeah.
Uh,
No.
memes or meme pages that are no longer that you miss. Fill the void.
Gay vape charge, I think.
Yeah. I was reminded of Chobani flavors. I don't know if y'all remember these. There was a one single serving Instagram that was just like Chobani yogurt, and like each one they would replace it with some other, like the Pop-Tart memes or like the Hot Pocket memes. But it was Chobani. There'd be like cardigan flavored Chobani, like glass flavored Chobani.
Wow.
There are definitely meme pages that I'm like, damn, y'all are onto something, and then they just mysteriously drop off the face of the earth.
Yeah, it's so sad.
They're not coming to
Were y'all
mind.
following like what Frog Are You? That was the one that popped off the most out of all the name ones, I think. That was fun.
That was a moment. The what?
It was a moment. It was like literally 72 hours. And I went to like, I don't know, like hundreds of thousands of followers, and like rightfully so. And it was so fun. And then they're like, this is way too much. I'm out.
No, and then all of the other what blank are you stuff started popping up.
Yeah. You're like, that was a moment. It was literally probably like 2-3 weeks ago.
Everything is so
There's
fast.
no concept
Why
of
do
time.
shit? I remember
Yeah.
a like yearly roundup a couple of years ago, and all of me remembering the things that had happened of that year were related to memes I had made on those occasions.
Yeah, I guess it's like a time capsule.
What's everyone's favorite like meme pages right now? Like
Khirea, duh.
Yeah. Did I say it wrong? I said Pasha. I've never heard it out loud, so
I don't know. I think it's
Patia.
Someone.
My favorite
That's
is
how I've heard it.
Area Babes, Actual Superstars. Oroma Ilewa's joint is like Nollywood.
Oh, that one is so good. I love that. So good.
She has that internal
That's
language.
not a meme page, but yeah, so
I
nice.
like shouts to Trevor Memes.
Oh.
Yes!
That was like that was a nigga that was in Intellectuals. Like that was a nigga admin in Intellectuals, and everything they post is just these bizarre like bits of like the worst of TikTok, like racial cringe.
His stories are ridiculous. Also, they're so good.
It gets to me sometimes, and I'm like, damn, I'm glad I get to see this because I wouldn't be seeing it otherwise. But
yeah, like I would have not put in the work to find it.
I guess we gotta ask the question of like OC versus admin.
Curation.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I can defend it if it's Patia, if it's like a black woman doing it, and you know, on this ultra fucked up space of the internet where like all these white folks do it and like steal black affect. Like I feel like she's reclaiming it, reterritorializing it, and like she's also just consistent as fuck. Like I don't know how you're that funny all the time, you know?
Interns.
Yeah, well, the interns, they need credit.
Yeah.
They need credit. What was the question?
Wait, does she have straight up interns? Because I thought it was like three.
I think she has like two or three other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they
content? The question that I was asking was separating. It wasn't a question, I guess. Separating our favorite like OC people and then aggregating.
Like for me, the concept I like to make OC. You know, that's what I like to do. But if you want to like curate great memes and I'm entertained by them, I can't knock that. It's just the question.
No, I'm not knocking it. Yeah, I think that they're different things. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they are. They are different things.
I don't know if do any of us ever post, like any of the four of us ever post that is not OC.
We're all very OC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember the one thing that I posted that wasn't mine. It was the picture of this burning cop car. Which is like its own type of meme, but for a purpose. Like if I'm posting things that aren't.
Wait, was it Odie's? Was it Not Your Boyfriend's that had like a pink background?
No, it wasn't.
By the way, shout out Odie. Oh, okay. Well, shout out Odie. That's one of my favorite OC favorites. Was it the one in Brooklyn?
It was in Atlanta. Because I'm from Atlanta, so I live in Brooklyn, but I live on the internet in Atlanta as well.
Got you. Makes sense.
Do we want to answer these questions?
What questions?
I don't know. The questions.
I wish I had a repost.
The Google Doc is pretty overwhelming. It's like some of it is just comments, not questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still did not share.
What do you think would be the death of the meme if that ever came about? What would you do?
The death of the meme has already happened. We're just dragging it on. It's been dead.
The death.
What is the death of a meme?
Specifically?
Because it's already like its ownership. Like I think of ownership and like whiteness and like corporations and like politicians paying people to make memes, and that's kind of antithetical to why memes are important to me personally. But so in some way that's the death of it, but like anything else, we're gonna keep going.
Well, now you've got me thinking, because like I think like Web 2.0, like the big social media apps, there was a certain kind of meme that was just like most memes came out of like 4chan or like, you know,
like rage memes and all that shit.
predominantly white, like 9gag, like that bullshit. Dog, grumpy cat. And it wasn't until like, you know, black people en masse were on Twitter, and you had Black Twitter. So like these platforms, which like announce a lot of different types of death, also created like a new type of meme and a new type of meme circulation. So like, I don't know if like, yeah, I don't think of memes as dying. Like a particular meme can die, but like memes in and of themselves, like the concept of a dragon, like that's not gonna die. Like, you know what I mean? So I just think the question's kind of narrow.
There's another question in here that I think is relevant. It's asking about like, what do you make of white audiences interacting with memes and lived experiences that they cannot relate to, and mostly are the antagonists in? How do you get them to understand the boundaries of the actually super important art made pointless? Which, fuck 'em. I'm like keen on blocking people. There's plenty of conversations that I just don't feel like having, like, and plenty of venues that I don't feel like having conversations in. Like, going back to the Lana Del Rey thing, like if we already there was a time and a place for you to be in my face about Lana Del Rey, and that was last month. And like at this moment, it's not. And there are certain conversations about like, I'm not trying to educate. Not that I'm not trying to educate, but there are certain conversations that for me are more stress than they're worth. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
I would say like white people
exhausted.
demanding an explanation becomes like continuity of like the white supremacy. It's like,
yeah, I like arguing with people, and I've had to Instagram. It's so much better to argue with people on Facebook than it is on Instagram. So I don't do it on Instagram often. And so like my urge now has, if it's not blocking people, like if they come off the wall with some shit that I'm like, I'm not even trying to engage with this, I'll just block them. And if it's something that I'm like, oh, I don't need to block you, but I don't feel like I just won't reply. Or yeah, it's hard. It's a lot easier for me to just let shit roll off. Like, and especially when I get into a corner where I'm like, oh, all of your friends are on this bullshit too. Like, I'm not trying to jump into this den of edgy white people on the internet.
You can tell when it's in bad faith too.
Yeah. And also the question of it like being they're not the ones creating the culture that is relevant. Like, I'm not missing out on anything cool by not having those people not having access to their culture.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like it's very easy to just be like, oh, you actually don't deserve to be in my space. My peace of mind is now intact. And that's been the case for like, you know, a lot of people during this pandemic, where I'm like, I think we grew into, like, our generation grew into social media as being like the first generation to like actually like have it just being a thing, and moved all of our, for me, it was like high school friends. So I still have high school friends that I'm friends with on Facebook, that if Facebook didn't exist, if social media didn't come around at the time it did, I wouldn't know what those people are doing at all. And even the ones that I'm friends with, some of them are like hoteps or misogynists, or like always saying shit that I have to check. And I'm like, I don't live in the same city as you. We don't do the same shit. We're not part of the same profession. If I wasn't on Facebook, I wouldn't know you. And that's fine. You know, it's totally fine to be like, yo, my Facebook is for me to come on here, lol, you know, be merry, you know, drag people, and not to be stressed out. I love having arguments. There are people that I have very disagreeable but like respectful arguments with, where I'm like, all right, cool, you're a person that I would actually hang out with and like have this conversation with. If I have to be on your shit all the time, or you on my shit all the time, that shit is annoying, and I wouldn't want to be around you in real life. And I think like we have to forget the fact that like we grew into this space with a lot of like stragglers and like keeping up with those people. Because nigga, I wouldn't be coming to your party. I wouldn't be going to your birthday. I didn't go to my 10-year reunion, not because I didn't want to, but because I was working. But like, I wouldn't be in community with you if it wasn't for the internet.
I would never do CrossFit at your gym.
Right? Wouldn't do CrossFit at all. So yeah, and then that's with people that I knew.
Yeah.
Random white people on the internet, hell nah. Y'all can eat all the dicks.
Kobayashi.
I love a good conflict, and I love like serving someone their ass, but I'm too tired at this point. And like I go to Instagram to like again like process my anger in a way that's like so cathartic that like I'm not trying to do all that. I think like another part of this question though is kind of, it seems almost like, how do you create boundaries of like who interacts or like who appreciates it or like that. And that's kind of what we've been talking about. Like there is no control over, and that's inherent in the medium. And it's the same way with like physical art too, in some ways. I'm gonna show you this thing that I made because I think it's like, and it has some imbu bitches on it. So,
You're the first person I've heard pronounce imbu.
I only know because I have like a couple of friends who have told me that that they used it back in the day. So I made this scarf. It has like a lot of ass on it, a lot of brown skinned ass, and like I'm like, okay, like I need as much brown skin ass as I can get on like my body. It was like totally in response to something that like a teacher has said to me too that was totally out of pocket. But basically like I started selling these. They were for sale, and I heard that like someone had bought one of them, and it turns out it was like this white dude. Right. And like clearly this shit is not made for you. But like he like clearly did not process that. And so like the whole reason why I made it in the first place is because it's about like exoticization, whatever. And like
I'll take your finest fractal thought stuff.
Exactly. And it's just like I don't have control over that. And again, like, I hate that it has to come to this, but like, I'm not going to gatekeep because I got to pay my bills, you know? And that sucks. But like, at the same time, you know what? And I've had other situations like this too. At the end of the day, like, you're the one that's going to look like an asshole, you know? You're the one that's going to look dumb as hell. I'm going to be like making my money and you're going to look dumb as hell. And like, that's my response because I can't necessarily control it. And like, I probably can control it more over like something that's like a physical product, but for something like someone's sharing my shit on the internet when like it's not really appropriate for them to do so, or they're like clearly not getting it. Yeah, like it's not in my control. Like I love to control everything. And at some point I just need to accept that like, nah, I can't do that.
I guess that's the idea of the like Finsta or like close friends.
I love close friends.
From Rafia, just having the list of Black friends on Facebook, which I have now, which is like definitely works really well for that. Like just being able to be like, I want to have this, I want to post this, and maybe it's a joke that I don't want white people laughing at. I don't even want to have to tell y'all to like not engage with this shit. So I just post it. Obviously, it's a lot less engagement, and I wish it could like travel further. And I wish that there was, I wish there was like some kind of tag that you could do to like gatekeep in that way. But for the things that it really matters, it's like either something that I just end up sending to my friends, like old school, text message or not email, but like text messaging to my friends, or just posting in specific places. And then half of the other shit
is it even real if you're not broadcasting it to the entire internet? You just like text one thing to one friend,
right?
Like for real?
I don't know if there's memes like that.
Could it be me?
There's memes that I've shown people that I haven't broadcast yet, just because like they were still in progress. But like, no, actually, no, there's not just some like meme underground.
I do have like
Underground railroad.
Wow. True. That's what I'd be down with.
This way to the memes.
Yeah. Because that idea of surveillance and feeling like when you're making things that you are attracting the flies, so to speak, to like, what is that? When I post Hotep memes, fortunately this isn't the case, which is nice, because when I like, it's just a particular group of people that are like, oh, this is funny because I actually know what's going on. And then who doesn't get it, doesn't get it. And then people will be like, what is this about? And I'm like, it is what it is.
Why is he wearing that funny hat?
Yeah.
That tiny funny hat.
And then the other aspect of this is just that it has to a certain extent changed the type of work that I make, but I was already on this tip of like, no, I don't want to make Black art because this is a certain type of like dog whistling to institutions and like white supremacy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like also making work that implicates people. So like in my sculptural practice, like implicating masculinity as this like locus of power and like domination and oppression. And then like with meme things, like implicating whiteness. So like y'all can have this meme, but like also it's going to be the thing that will be legible here is that, I'm laughing at you.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the ones that don't contain
That's praxis right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I fuck with that.
How's everyone?
And also, again, like if we use it as like a learning tool or teaching tool, these like platforms that we have, then it actually is a good thing that white people are like, at least to some extent, like interacting with them, like seeing them, reading them, and like becoming comfortable with some of the thoughts that we're putting out there.
One thing I don't want to do is like overestimate like I want to overestimate the intelligence of the audience. I always like, just when I make something, I assume the audience is me, and so they're smart as fuck and they're just gonna get it. But but I'm also like, I think when you make memes, especially in the space we make them, as these sort of like leftist memers with our politics, I think there's like a weird thing with like the audience where it's like, it's exciting, but it's also a potential hazard in which like we are at the site of producing culture and propaganda that is going to potentially orient these kids politically and how they think and shit. And like we can produce the next people who are like, damn, I need to organize, or I need to like put some money in that Black person's Venmo, or the other side of that is they're on a certain part of the internet where they become Kyle Rittenhouse. Or I'm saying there's this third state where they become so entrenched in this leftist like indoctrination. I'm not trying to sound like Kanye, but it's also like where we become, as meme makers, we have this positionality where we are moral arbiters, and somewhat of like, whether it's intentional or not, we become messiahs. Like in Nick's case, like we become thought leaders. And so like if we betray them, they don't have the emotional or the life experience aptitude to deal with that. And so like if you fuck up with these people, like you become abuser, rapist, piece of shit, like from these very same people who are scorned and hurt because they heroified you. They thought you were a vector of like progressive communist thought and not also a broken human behind that profile. So fuck cancel culture.
Yeah, no, for real though, and absolutely, and that's kind of like what I was talking about with my relationship with capital. We all have our fucking flaws, and I think, yeah, I've seen it before. I've seen people be held on a pedestal, and then, yeah, people do like they feel betrayed if they find out that this person that they thought was a messiah is like actually a human being with like their own shortcomings and shit, you know?
Like
And
the
it's,
only reason there's
I
not
don't know.
dirt on me is because I'm a perfect human being and I've never done anything bad. That's the only reason there's no dirt on me.
Yeah, but I mean, same, obviously.
I've done bad shit.
No, I've done terrible shit. But the thing is, in my network of close friends, we've had conversations in which I've had to make myself accountable, and they didn't sick their followers on me to like sort of produce a fake accountability or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's not accountability. And I like that's another thing that's like totally self-serving. I've seen way too many people like hopping on to like, for example, like throw a black man under the bus, throw a black woman under the bus, like something, throw a gender non-conforming person under the bus, in order to like virtue signal, and it has nothing. And oftentimes, like it also the person that harm was done to, the victim or survivor or whatever, like did not want all of this, you know.
Yeah.
Again, like it's really opportunistic and it's really self-serving, and that's really like that's horrifying. That's really not okay. It's repulsive.
Yeah. It's also almost 10 o'clock, so we've been at it for almost 3 hours.
Oh damn!
So I feel like the audience is like checked out. They've been like, we've had enough.
Yeah.
I checked out hours ago.
So
yeah,
I mean, I'm glad to know we can do this for 3 hours. Like we
shoot
haven't.
the shit. Yeah. Oh, I could totally shoot the shit with y'all for a long time.
Shit more. I mean, I think like I'm struggling with this pandemic socially. I don't have friends.
Yeah. I feel you. All my friends are on the internet, basically.
Yeah.
Ooh, someone asked us about Brad Trammell, which I think is really cool, but maybe we should like do it another time if we're.
I think you can ask Brad Trammell about Brad Trammell. I'll say like, you know, Brad Trammell has salient critique about the art world, but the nigga's name is Brad, so that's what I gotta say.
What I have to say is that the art world is threatened by the democratic nature of memes, and so it naturally has to pick one person to be the meme artist. Brad Trammell is
right, man. Yeah.
It's like, how are you gonna make memes?
Iteration made better art memes than Brad Trammell.
Brad Trammell has declined being in like meme art shows, which I understand, but at the same time, it like reveals, you know, the elitism behind what they do, even if it is purported as, you know, critique. But it's also like an old saying, if you want power in an institution, critique said institution.
Also, going back to the same shit, like I was saying with the Duchamp fountain, Brad Trammell is Duchamp, and there's a nigga on the internet right now like us who are making that shit that's actually critical in ways that are much more salient, much more like on the ground, that we're having this conversation here. And
freeze these nuts.
yeah, freeze these nuts. Actually, I need that on the shirt. But yeah, there's a reason why, mostly white dudes are the ones who are, media companies making actual like livable wages off of Instagram and Patreon. And
I wanted to make a meme for the longest time, but it's like, it's so, but it's like the Drake meme, and it's like this Drake is like, and it's Corey Archangel, and then approving Drake is Corey in the Abyss.
Oh wow,
that's good. I mean, I'm down for it. We're trying to dip out of here.
Yeah, let's. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's gone on.
Anything coming
up? Oh wait, someone asked if I can use their info character. Please send it to me. DM it to me. I'm here. I'm out here. I would love to have some from people to submit them. So.
Does anyone have anything coming up? Y'all out in these streets?
Bitch, we're in a fucking
I got nothing.
pandemic.
This is the promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything, which is great.
I am operating at a 5 out of 10 mentally. I'm not there.
Wow, you're doing good. Damn.
5 out of 10. Half.
Yeah, that is true.
That's half capacity. Damn.
5 out of 10 of the votes, you can, decide whether or not you can let the Electoral College decide whether or not you're good.
That's
True.
I am working on a thing as a part of this residency, like an actual film. It's called Workflow, and it's about, like, Aria Dean has this essay, Notes on Black Acceleration. So it's about like blackness and the intensity of capitalism. But it's also about like me telling myself most work situations I've ever had have ended in like a culmination of the microaggressions, or like, me being harassed so much that I have to get HR involved, and then like management harasses me out of the job. And that's happened like multiple times, where it's just like, I'm an outspoken Black person, and my white coworkers, they can't deal with that. And so I get fucked with. And it makes me say, like, where can I work ever that I don't have to deal with that? So I'm trying to make something that's not just like, of course, Corey in the Abyss is, I get fucked with in the real world and I go make these memes. That's part of that. But I'm also trying to make an actual work that's about, like, no matter what kind of workplace a Black person's at, there is going to be these whack-a-moles, if you will, of like anti-Blackness. Like, it's ubiquitous, and it's sort of like crack. And so it's like, what would it look like if I made a work of art where one of the conceptual premises is like, I don't want to work ever again because they kill me.
Mm-hmm. I'm even thinking about that residency that what I'm talking about that I was at. Like, you try to get a fucking artist residency and they put you through that shit.
Yeah, that was some carceral bullshit. They were like, are you gonna...
It was so fucked up. And then my experience there and knowing your experience, like that shit was fucked.
Yeah.
That shit was fucked.
I'm sort of glad I didn't go.
Yeah, no. Good.
I would like to say this publicly. I haven't been in public too often. I mean, really, since this pandemic started. But I haven't done shit. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the rest. And I want to encourage anyone watching or like watching this at any time that, like, don't I know it's really easy for our capitalist conditioning to think of like non-productivity as being this evil thing that you should feel anxiety about and all that kind of shit. But like, enjoy this rest. It's necessary.
Mm.
Yeah.
Take your sweet
I've been struggling with that
Take your
myself.
sweet fucking
I
time.
had like an existential. Say it again. Sorry.
I said, take your time. Like, what's the rush?
Yeah, for real. For real. I lost my shit for like 2 weeks. Because I was just like, I'm not doing enough. Blah blah blah. I put like a lot of my energy into organizing, and like I almost fucking quit my love, which is like what I do, you know, and like almost did something else because I thought it would be like the like nobler thing to do, and I just like I like was really going through it because I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, this isn't productive, this is not contributing, like blah blah blah. So I think even if in like a leftist thinking, it's not just capitalist thinking. Like again, capitalism kind of inflicts itself on like everything.
Mm.
I just like I'm quitting shit, you know? I'm quitting shit. I'm done. Like I like I'm just gonna do what I need to do. It's all vibes from here. Rest is so important. I didn't even hear if you said anything or just made noise or what.
I was doing a Travis Scott ad lib.
Oh,
I was attempting it.
you say it's lit?
No, I said straight up.
I
Oh,
said,
straight up.
I
Oh,
think
okay.
I think that's my cue to go to sleep when we start spontaneously.
Yeah, doing ad libs.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for the both.
All right. It's been real. It's been real. It's been really good to talk with y'all.
Yeah.
I hope all the voyeurs thought that we were funny up until we got tired.
Up until I think stop. It's been 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Here. Meme cake.
All right.
Peace.
Cool. Bye, y'all.
Peace.